Welcome, all my fellow Washington brethren and sister. I am your man and resident Washington football team fan, Lou. Thank you for joining me here on the Washington Football Report Live. Took a lot to get here, but we're here. And there's a lot to get to tonight. As we get closer and closer to the draft, the anxiety and the anxiousness builds, and it's getting to a point where you can start to cut this tension with a knife. We're talking about the quarterback position a lot tonight. I'm going to start the show off talking about Sammis Reyes. Sammis Reyes, for me, is a guy that I'm excited about. We've talked about it already. I don't need to go down that path. I really more so want to talk about expectations for Sammis Reyes coming into this first year. There are people asking, is this guy going to make the roster? You're damn right he's going to make this roster. Barring some kind of catastrophe, I'm not speaking that into existence, but you can understand what I'm referencing. I'm not going to say it. He's going to make this football team, okay? And I think that the ceiling on this guy is tremendous. You can't even see it. And so we're going to talk about expectations, however, for him in his first year in this league, because he's going to make this football team. It's not a matter of if he's going to make this team. It's when he makes this team and in what capacity will he be utilized. I told you I'm greedy. I don't want to stop there. I think we still need to add another tight end. I'm not as gung-ho now as I was before getting Sammis Reyes, because now I feel like, hey, we got a little bit of leeway now with Logan Thomas, Sammis Reyes. Now you can just get another guy. We still need one more, but you can get another guy, and it doesn't have to be in the first round. Hell, doesn't even have to be in the second, even though I would prefer they grab Tommy Tremble anyway, because he can be the versatile fullback / H-back that we need, that we lack in this offense. We don't have a true fullback in this offense in Carolina. For the vast majority of the time that Ron Rivera was in Carolina, he always had a fullback, whether it was Richie Brockle or they just drafted a kid out of, I forgot the name of the school, but they just drafted him like 4 years ago. So he's always had some kind of fullback / H-back on their roster. And I think that Tommy Tremble could fit right into that mold and still give you tight end vibes while still being a lead blocker on a lot of plays and doing a lot of the dirty work. So I would still like to go after Tommy Tremble. But again, if somebody else falls into your lap or there's a different player there at 51 that tickles your fancy, knock yourself out, whatever the case may be, we will get to all of those things tonight. But I don't know if you guys have been following Sammis Reyes over the last 48 hours. I know a lot of you have just been exposed to him. I talked about him. Obviously, a lot of you were shouting me out, hey, man, you were all over this, yada, yada, yada. I really appreciate that. I told you, when I'm right, you're going to know I'm right. When I'm wrong, I'll be the first to tell you I'm wrong. I love when I don't have to tell everybody that I'm right. You're doing it for me. But, I still had to come on and finish off those last crumbs of success, because it felt good, not because I was right necessarily, even though it feels damn good to be right. It was more about us getting this player. I know if you've been following, his situation over the last 48 hours, it's been a whirlwind of information. A lot of that information I was privy to the first 24 hours. When you're talking about yesterday, when people were just discovering his pro day, I'd already seen all that stuff. That's what I was telling you guys about back on April the 3rd. The stuff that was great was his interview. I watched a interview he did at the IPP, which is the International Pathway Program, and I was impressed then. And then his interview with the media, he did a presser today with the media, and man, is this guy impressive or what? How can you not root for a guy like Sammis Reyes after listening to him speak, and to think that this guy at 14 years old didn't speak a lick of English, and you hear him now 11 years later, and the guy speaks better than most Americans do that have been here their entire lives. So that just goes to show you how much work and dedication that this guy is willing to put in. He's a double major. Okay, he's got a degree. He's working on another finance degree right now, so he's a smart guy. He's willing to put in the work, and he stressed that today. He stressed the fact that when he didn't have any way of providing income during the COVID situation because he was training young athletes in the DMV area because he was living in Washington, didn't know that either. Before COVID, no one was, working out during COVID, so there was no way for him to earn. He was doing DoorDash. Like, the guy was like, look, whatever I got to do to make ends meet, but I'm not giving up on the dream. So I can respect him. Love the message that he continues to hammer home, which is, I'm just taking this day by day. They talk about rep by rep. They keep talking about first Chilean player to play in the NFL. He's like, look, I can't focus on that because I haven't made it yet. I signed the contract. It feels good, but I'm not there yet. I didn't make this football team yet. So it's just day by day. I'm just going to dive into this playbook, try to get familiar with the terminology. I'm going to watch a ton of film. He said, nobody's going to outwork me. I love it. How can you not root for this guy? I'm excited. I was excited before I heard him speak. I'm even more excited now that I've listened to him over the last 2 days. So for those of you not seeing what everybody else is seeing, help yourself to Sammis Reyes and what he is bringing to the table at 6'5", 6'6", 260 pounds, running a 4.6, 5.46, 40, and jumping a 40-inch vert. Go help yourself. The guy is outstanding in terms of the metrics and the athleticism and the physicality portion, the eyeball test. When you see a guy get off the bus and you say, okay, he belongs, that's Sammis Reyes at this point. Now, can he play ball? We're going to have to find that out together, but I'm excited about the future. Anyhow, let's get to a couple of comments. Oh, I thought I had some more comments. Anyhow, let's see when I want to talk about the quarterback position tonight in particular, because there's been a lot of conversation over the last 72 hours regarding really the last week or so regarding Washington and a potential first round quarterback. I still think it is highly unlikely that Washington takes a quarterback. However, this new Davis Mills angle, and I don't know, look, I'm not a big mock draft guy. I've told you guys that already. However, I'm not oblivious to the mock drafts that are being put out. I'm not hiding under a rock. So Mel Kiper just put out his latest mock draft yesterday, in which he had Washington taking quarterback Davis Mills of Stanford at 19. So you see the wheels turning here for Washington in terms of them potentially. And again, guys do this with their mock draft because they're hearing things. Like Mel Kiper didn't just wake up yesterday and say, you know what? To make it spicy, I'm just going to give Washington a quarterback. That's not what he's doing. He's hearing things. As you go to these pro days, you talk to people, people are chirping, you hear things. Why? Michael Lombardi says, oh, Washington loves Trey Lance, and they're going to go up and get him. Why is he saying this? He's hearing things. Are these things accurate? Is his source accurate? That's a debate that we can have, but he's hearing things. These guys are hearing things. That's why they're saying these things that they're saying. Okay? There's not enough Washington fans out there to move the needle for him to say something because he's trying to attract eyeballs and clicks. That's like, people saying, well, Chris Sims is only making his list because he wants people to click and he wants to draw attention to himself. Okay, fine, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's not enough Washington fans to just move the needle. When Chris Sims does something, it's every fan out there that's looking for a quarterback that he's trying to attract attention from. So that's a different animal. He doesn't, Michael Lombardi doesn't have to have a rumor like, hey, Washington may be interested in going up to get Trey Lance. They absolutely love him. I know they love him. Okay. Remember, we heard earlier in the process, it was Justin Fields that Washington loves. Ron Rivera thinks he's a tremendous leader. He checks all the boxes, yada, yada, yada. And now it's Davis Mills. And we talked about Davis Mills on the podcast last week when Peter Schrager of the NFL Network said, most likely, Davis Mills is going to be the 6th quarterback taken in this draft. And he said, I'll take it a step further. I think he's going to be a first-round pick. We're going to see 6 quarterbacks go in the first round. Well, hell, that's news to me Because for the longest time, Davis Mills at best was a second round pick. But as I've told you guys, and hey, look, I live by this. I die by this moniker. Believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me. That's right, me, your man, Louie T. I get it. You don't have to believe what I'm telling you, but I'm not saying, I'm just saying, I've told you guys 1,000 times, probably 1,000,000 times now, quarterbacks, they get pushed up this time of the year, okay? Guys started in the 3rd round. Next thing you know, they're in the 2nd round, and now we're talking about Davis Mills potentially as a 1st-round pick. When this process got started 2 months ago, when we were sitting here in February talking about the quarterback position, I started off with the quarterback position. We were talking about Davis Mills as a potential late day 2 pick, meaning 3rd round. Maybe he's a day 2 2nd rounder, but more likely than not, he's a day 2 3rd round pick. Now we're talking about Davis Mills as a potential 1st round pick. That's what happens. Mac Jones, when this process started, you could get Mac Jones in the 2nd round. Washington might be able to get him at 51. Then it went from, hey, man, might have to draft Mac Jones at 19. Now it's like, hey, there's no way Mac Jones is going to be there at 19. What the hell happened here? The quarterback position happened. The need to get a quarterback happened. It happens every year. Some years more so than others because the talent is a little bit different in other drafts where there's not as much talent. You're not as willing to reach on a quarterback. Like 2 years ago when Dwayne, Haskins, and Drew Lock and those guys were in that draft, nobody was really willing to reach outside of the Giants reaching for Daniel Jones at 6. But they knew that there were other teams interested. Hey, us over here in Daniel Jones. I wasn't interested, but Washington reportedly was. And so had they not drafted Daniel Jones at 6, somebody else might have drafted Daniel Jones. Denver, for instance, might have drafted Daniel Jones. Washington might have drafted Daniel Jones. So they knew they had to act and to act fast. So they did. Washington reached for Dwayne Haskins. I thought it was a reach at 15 then. It was a reach. It proved to be a reach. I don't think anybody else was. After watching Drew Lock fall all the way to the 2nd round, I don't think another team was going to reach for a quarterback in the 1st round. I don't think Dwayne Haskins was going to be a 1st round pick. I sincerely believe that. I don't think if he would have gotten past 15 at Washington and they didn't trade back into the 1st round to get him, I don't think anybody was drafting Dwayne Haskins in the 1st round. So that was one of those drafts where teams weren't willing to reach for a quarterback. The talent just wasn't there. It wasn't enough of it. This is a draft where teams are like, man, there's a ton of quarterback talent. We think we need to go up and get ours. And you're seeing it. Davis Mills was the #1 high school quarterback recruit in the nation when he committed to Stanford back in 2017. I told you when he was at the Elite 11 quarterback camp, which is the most prestigious quarterback camp for high school players. When he was at that camp, that Elite 11 camp, he was voted most successful potential NFL quarterback of that group. And that was Tua Tagovailoa, Sam Ehlinger, and a bunch of guys that are ultimately going to play in this league. What's the mustache guy's name? I forgot his name. But you know who the hell I'm talking about from Jacksonville that played at Washington State. All of those guys were there. Gardner Minshew. All those guys were at that QB 11 camp that year. And here we are. So I said all of that to say this. Davis Mills has some talent. I told you guys that. Is it 19 overall talent? I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm comfortable with that or not. But anyway, let's get to some of these comment sections. Let's get to the comment section and read some of these comments. Got a super chat to kick us off tonight from Rob U. Thank you for the super chat, Rob U. Greatly appreciate you. Rob U, who writes, "What up, Lou? What up, Rob?" He says, if Lance makes it to 8, do they go up and get him, and how much does it take? Could he finally end the QB carousel? If Lance gets to Carolina at 8, I think that he would be enticing at that point. Excuse me. I don't know if you have to go to 8 to get him, but if you don't, somebody else may. So that's the thing. You can't wait with these quarterbacks. But remember, I don't remember whose mock draft it was, but somebody had a mock draft. I think it was an NFL Network mock draft that had Washington trading up to 9 with Denver to select a quarterback. I believe it was, in fact, Trey Lance as well. Might have been Justin Fields. I think it was Trey Lance as well. But nonetheless, if Washington's gonna trade up for a quarterback, it's gonna be somewhere in that 7 to 9 range. Detroit, Carolina, Denver. Because as I mentioned, 10, 11, 12 are off limits because those are all NFC East teams. And even though the draft makes bedfellows out of sworn enemies a lot of times, I can't see the Cowboys, Eagles, or Giants, any of those 3 teams saying, you know what? We hate Washington. We want them to continue to wander in the quarterback wilderness for another 30 years, as they have for the past 30 years. We'd love to see them wander and meander around the quarterback wilderness for another 3 decades. But you know what? We really want the draft capital. So tell you what, we'll let you come get your quarterback, and we'll move back and let you do that. I don't see any of those teams doing that. To hell with you, Washington. We know what you want to come up here and get, and we're not going to help you get it. So you're not getting to 10, 11, 12. Somebody else may be able to get to 10, 11, 12, but you're not going to be able to get there if you're Washington. So you're going to have to do your deal to get up to get a quarterback if you want one at 7, 8, or 9. So 8 at Carolina makes sense. 9 at Denver makes sense. And I think the first pick that they have to start really considering is 7 at Detroit. Because I think that's when teams who are interested, New England, who's interested. I think there are other teams out there that may be eyeballing quarterbacks that I can't think of off the top of the dome. But there are other teams that are going to be interested at quarterback. Chicago is another team that comes to mind that would love an upgrade. And just because they signed Andy Dalton and they keep trying to tell everybody, anytime somebody goes out of their way to continue to tell me something that they already told me 10 times and they keep belaboring that point, it means they're covering up something. You're hiding something. When somebody keeps telling you, hey, don't go in that room and there's nothing in there, trust me, you're like, okay, you already told me there wasn't shit in there. Why would I go in there? Don't go in that room. Trust me. All right, now I want to go in the room. What's in the room? What are you hiding? Okay? That's sort of how I feel about the Bears. Like, they keep telling it, man, we love Andy Dalton. Sure you do. It's fine. Okay, we get it. You're cool with Andy Dalton. Man, we think Andy Dalton's going to be able to lead this. Hey, hold on. You already told me you like Andy Dalton. Why do you keep telling me? I think you're hiding something. The Bears could come up. The Patriots could come up. There are teams out there that could come up for a quarterback. So Washington, if they want one, may have to get up there and get one. And I wouldn't rule it out. I would not rule, a quarterback at 8 or 9 or even as early as 7 out for Washington. I don't see them moving up to 4 with Atlanta. I don't see that happening. But I could see a scenario in which they, have a quarterback fall to – and remember, if Atlanta doesn't take a quarterback at 4 and they don't trade to somebody else that takes a quarterback at 4, there's going to be a guy in that big 5 that's left. And, again, if that guy is Mac Jones, I don't see Washington trade up for Mac Jones. Somebody else may take him, but I don't see Washington doing that. If Mac Jones is the pick at 3, which I still have my doubts about, okay? But if Mac Jones isn't the pick at 3, then there's a realistic possibility that both Trey Lance and Justin Fields are gone by the time you get to 7, 8, 9. I mean, theoretically speaking, if Fields is gone at 4 or 3 to the San Francisco 49ers, the Falcons could trade out of 4. Somebody could come up and get Lance at 4, and boom, it's done. All of this conversation about trading up to 7, 8, or 9, dead. Just like that. And it's Mac Jones, and he'll end up in New England like he's supposed to. But and the Saints, don't count the Saints out. That's another team that needs a quarterback that may be willing to trade up and grab a guy. So if that's the scenario, then you get into the Davis Mills category and territory at 19. Is that too soon for a guy that's had 2 major knee surgeries? Is that too soon for a guy, we've been down this road before, that's only got 11 starts in his collegiate career in 3 years? Is that too soon for a guy that really hasn't been able to show you a damn thing yet? We went down that path with Dwayne Haskins. 1 year of starting experience at Ohio State, put up big numbers, and they fell into the trap. The difference between Davis Mills and a Dwayne Haskins is Davis Mills played in a pro-style offense. I was listening to David Shaw on the Standing Room Only podcast, and Ben Standing asked him about Davis Mills and why do you feel so confident that he's a starter in this league? And he said, look, a lot of times the scouts, they come to us and they say, thank you. Thank you for having a pro-style offense that gives us an easy evaluation of these players. Because everybody else is looking over at the sidelines and they're looking over at cue cards and they turn around and they fake clap and they fake clap again and then they clap and the ball snapped. All right, and the cards tell all the other players what to do. So they don't have to remember any verbiage. They don't have to set protections at the line of scrimmage. They don't have to change a run to a pass to a run. They're not charged with doing that at the quarterback position in college, in these quarterbacks in these spread offenses. Just look over at the sidelines. That was the running joke about Dwayne Haskins. He looked over at the sidelines, clapped, and threw 50 touchdowns. Davis Mills runs a pro-style offense at Stanford. That's the thing that everyone loves about Stanford players. Tight ends, offensive linemen, quarterbacks, even though their quarterbacks aren't usually all that successful in this league, they usually get a sniff because they played in a pro-style offense. And you can't undersell that. That a guy comes in, he's got experience spitting out verbiage in a huddle. First of all, a lot of these guys don't even know what it's like to be in a real huddle. They don't huddle up. But he knows what it's like to look 10 guys in the eye. Same thing with Trey Lance. Trey Lance played in a pro-style offense. And I think there is a bit of an advantage to that. But there are guys that just don't have that experience. Davis Mills does. Trey Lance does. So I think there is something to Davis Mills. I told you I like Davis Mills. I didn't tell you I don't like Davis Mills at 19. I don't 19 like Davis. I got to love Davis Mills to take him at 19, which I don't. I like Davis Mills. I don't love Davis Mills. Would I trade up for Trey Lance? Would I trade up for Justin Fields? Sure. And I told you, I don't have a preference one way or the other. The only guy that I love in this draft outside of Trevor Lawrence is Zach Wilson. That's my guy. I'm a Zach Wilson guy. But he's not going to be available. So no need in crying over spilt milk. Let's acknowledge the fact that he's going to the Jets and move on. So any of these other guys, okay, knock yourself out. I would prefer Lance over Fields personally myself. But again, whoever they like, I'm on board with. If it's Lance, if it's Fields, if it's Mills, I'm on board. Sign me up. Sign me up. Because I, like you, want to end this misery of not having a franchise quarterback. I get sick and tired year after year of having to answer the same questions. Who's going to be the starting quarterback of the Washington football team? I get tired of it. I get tired of looking around the division and saying, well, if we're ranking quarterbacks and you put 2-3 teams ahead of us because we don't have a guy. I get sick of that. So if they can figure it out, cool. If they can't, okay, no sweat. I told you, I've said this already. It's either a first-round quarterback for Washington or it's no quarterback for Washington in this year's draft. I said that before. I'm going to say it again. I'm sticking steadfast to it. Either they're going to get this quarterback and get him early or they're not getting one at all in this draft. So you asked, would it make sense to go up and get him at 8? Yep, it would. What would it take? It's going to take a lot. You're at 19. You're asking a team to trade out of the top 10 and trade back to damn near 20 to allow you to come up and get a quarterback. It's going to cost you. You're going to obviously swap first rounders, okay? More likely than not, you're probably going to have to give up a first rounder next year. More likely than not. And it might cost you one of your threes this year. So let's say it costs you a 1 and a 3, essentially. Let's not count this year's one because you're swapping ones. So it'll probably cost you a 1 next year and a 3 this year. Or it might cost you a 2 next year and a 3 this year. Something like that. Okay? But that's not that steep of a price to pay if you really, really want a guy. And it's a quarterback. It's not really that steep of a price to pay at all. So I think that's what it would take. Something along those lines. I think a 3 this year, because we got 2 of them, would be a sticking point. If I'm a team trading with Washington, that's a sticking point for me. Oh, you got 2 of them things. Let me get one of them off you. Matter of fact, I want the one you got from San Francisco, the one that comes first. Let me get 74 off you, and we could do the second round next year. That sounds good to me. So that's what I think it would take. Thank you for the super chat, Rob. You. Jason Fios, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Jason Fios. Got another super chat. This one is from Trevor Patch. Thank you for the super chat, Trevor Patch. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, so late, Lou. Look, man, I literally was out running the streets all day. Had to go take my son to his grandparents' house, and that's 3 hours away. Had to get a haircut, as you can see. Got cleaned up. I'm not going to Mexico looking dusty and dirty. You know, I got to get clean, and I got a style and profile. Woo! On these clowns. So had to get cleaned up. I'm vegan, as you know, so I got to cook my food and prepare all that stuff. So I had to go to the store. I had to run a million errands, and I still made it here at 2 minutes after the time that I set the stream for. So I feel pretty damn good about myself, honestly. Got a lot accomplished in a small amount of time. So get off my back. He also says, thought you went to Mexico early. Nah, not yet. He says, do not mortgage the future. Do not, in all caps, mortgage the future for an unknown quarterback. As I've said in the past, the pressure of a round 1 quarterback is too much. Find a QB the right way, second round or later, to sit. I'm going to tell you like this. I don't see them drafting a quarterback after the first round. You're right. There is a ton of pressure on a first round quarterback, but pressure busts pipes, but it also produces diamonds. I want to know what I got. If you can't handle the pressure of being a first round pick, then you probably aren't the guy for the job anyway. Again, you have to have competitive arrogance. It's called athletic arrogance, but I call it whatever you like. You got to have that athletic arrogance, that competitive arrogance, and air about yourself. What guy doesn't want to be taken in the first round? There's an enormous amount of pressure that comes with being a first round pick. So what? I want this guy to be under pressure because I want to see how he performs under pressure. I don't want a guy that's competition adverse. Guy that suffers from competition anxiety. I need a guy that's willing to step up to the challenges and say, all right, you drafted me in the first round. I'm ready to take the bull by the horns. Let's go. Let's do this thing. So I'm not opposed to it. I like you, don't want to mortgage the future on a quarterback or any other player for that matter. But if there is a position I'm willing to say, hey, give up whatever you got to get it, it's quarterback. It's quarterback. And I've always said this. As long as you're not giving up known commodities, I don't give a shit what you give up in draft capital. Sure, nobody wants to give up 3 1s, right? Like, who wants to sit in timeout for the next 2 years in the first round, like we did with the Robert Griffin III trade? Nobody wants to do that. But look, at the end of the day, if Robert Griffin III was still here playing top-notch football, would you give a shit that we gave up 2 1s and 2 2s? Or whatever the hell it was that trade was? No, you wouldn't have cared. Because we got a guy. And that's all I care about. As long as we're not giving up known commodities. That's where I draw the line. I've told you that already. When we had these discussions about Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson and what it would take to get one of those guys, I said, look, if you told me we had to give up 3 1s and 2 2s, yeah, it hurt. I'd be clutching those picks, and I wouldn't want to let them go, but I'd let them go. They'd have to yank them from my hands. And I'd miss them immediately, but I know what I'm getting. Where I draw the line is I'm not giving you Montez Sweat. I'm not giving you. And I know some of you like, take him. For Deshaun Watson, you're damn right, take him. I'm not giving you Sweat. I'm not giving you Young. I'm sorry. I'm not giving you known commodities. You can't have my guys that I already know can play in this league. These draft picks, we don't know if they're going to amount to shit. So you can have them. Can't miss what you never had is what I like to say. Can't miss what you never had. I don't know what those guys are. You can have them. I know what Montez Sweat is. I know what Chase Young is. You can't have them. So if you're asking me about mortgaging the future, I'm willing to do that for a quarterback. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired of not having a QB. So I'm willing to risk whatever it takes. A first rounder, a first and a second, a first and a third, 2 firsts, even though that would be painful. I want to get this right. But there's nobody in this draft I'm willing to give up 2 first rounders for. Not a single guy. That will be draftable for us. Okay. All right. After the first 3 quarterbacks are gone. There's not a guy. The only guy I would be willing to do that for outside of Trevor Lawrence is Zach Wilson. Neither one of those guys are available. So I'm not willing to give up 2 first rounders, but a first and a second, a first and a third for one of these other guys, Trey Lance, Justin Fields. I'm willing to try it to see what happens. Absolutely. Not Mac Jones. Definitely not Davis Mills. So for what it's worth, I want them to take a guy in the first round. It gets you that extra year of service, that 5th year option to kind of figure out if you need it. If you don't need it, it's just another year on the contract there, sitting there to get you to a place where you could kind of push that contract out a little further so you can maybe get some more of that window of opportunity before you got to sign that quarterback to that massive deal. So you want the first round quarterback. You really do. Let's see. Got another super chat here. This one is from Rob U. Thank you for doubling up. Double up. Rob U, greatly appreciate you. My man Rob U writes, what are the chances of Sadiq Charles winning the left tackle or left guard spot? I think the chances of him winning the left guard spot are a lot higher than that of left tackle. When listening to Ron talk about Sadiq Charles, he doesn't sound really enthused about him as a tackle anymore. I think that ship might have sailed already. I think they've moved on from him as a tackle. I could be wrong. We've always heard about positional flex from Ron. And when he first got here, that was his thing. Positional flex, positional flex. We want guys with flexibility, can play multiple positions, especially on the offensive line. So I wouldn't be shocked if he's still getting reps at tackle, but I don't know if they view him as the tackle of the future anymore like they potentially did when they drafted him last year. I think they look at him as a Swiss Army knife on the offensive line. They want him to start. Obviously, they invested a 4th round pick in Sadiq Charles, so they definitely want him to start. If he were to start, it would be at one of the guard positions. Obviously, Sheriff is coming back at right guard, so it would be left guard, I would think. But Wes Schweitzer played so well last year, which is why I advocated if you can't get Sheriff done long term, let him walk, because you've got enough stuff here that you can play around with. Again, none of them are going to be Sheriff. I acknowledge that, but still, it's not worth paying him $18 million after you just paid him essentially $15 million a year before on consecutive franchise tags. But that's nor here nor there. Bottom line is, I think he's got a much higher chance of starting at left guard than he does at left tackle. So I'd put his chances of winning the left tackle spot at maybe 20%, a 1 in 5 chance. And I'd put his opportunity to win the left guard spot at probably 55%, maybe 55, 60%. So he's got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing. That was his issue last year, was he wasn't able to stay healthy. Don't know what the offseason is going to look like for these young players. Remember, there are like 5 or 6 teams that have already had, players speak up and say, we don't want to have to show up in person. We want to do this thing virtually. So we could have another offseason where the young boys don't get a lot of work in hands-on situations with coaches. So it could be another one of these weird off seasons. There's going to be a preseason this year, which, barring some kind of, explosion with COVID-19 or some mutation of it, and, we go back into a lockdown situation where there's uncertainty. If we keep trending in the direction that we're heading, where there's stability, then we'll have a preseason in what feels like a more normal lead up to the season where guys will get a little bit more work, which we desperately need in Washington because we're a very, very young football team. Thank you for the super chat and doubling up. Got another super chat here from Abner Duran. Thank you for the super chat, Abner Duran. Greatly appreciate you. My man Abner Duran writes, "Hey Lou." What up, Abner? "Maybe we don't get as bold as I'd like because of the draft cost it would take to get to number 4. But I'd still feel better if we get a quarterback first round in this draft to take advantage of Fitzpatrick's mentoring abilities." I think that's something to factor in. Remember, when we first signed him, I was not happy and pleased by the signing. And the one thing I said that would really make me feel a lot better about signing Ryan Fitzpatrick here would be if we drafted a young quarterback. And, you know, the prevailing thought when we signed Fitzpatrick was, well, you're not going to draft a quarterback now. And I said, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that. I could understand why people would feel that way because you got two veterans on the team in Heineke and Allen already, and you've got obviously the veteran of all veterans, Ryan Fitzpatrick, playing for his 9th NFL franchise. And so you got 3 quarterbacks. No one carries 4 quarterbacks in this league. Nobody. So obviously that would mean there would be an odd man out because you're not going to cut a rookie if you draft him. So he's got to be on the team. Fitzpatrick isn't getting cut. He's going to be on the team. And so it'd really be a battle between Heineke and Allen for who would stay on the roster and who would get cut and maybe end up on the practice squad. But that could happen. You know, that seemed far-fetched just a month ago when free agency got kicked off. But now as we sit here a month later in nearing the draft, it seems like a realistic possibility that Washington could still be in the market for a QB. They've had time to do their homework on these quarterbacks. Maybe they've fallen in love with one of these guys. Who knows? We'll see. But I don't see Washington being as aggressive as you would like them to be. They're not going up to number 4. Highly unlikely at this point. But 7, 8, 9 is definitely a possibility if the right guy is there. And if not, even at 19, I don't think anybody's taking Davis Mills. But shit, I didn't think anybody was going to take Mac Jones at one point. Now look where he's potentially slated to go. Who knows? The Patriots could take Davis Mills at 15. I mean, shit is crazy with these quarterbacks, man. You think you know, you have no idea. I had a conversation with you guys on the podcast last week about where the Patriots serious about potentially taking Kellen Mond in the first round. I don't think that's the case, but hell, they got Cam Newton. Who would be a better mentor, even if he doesn't actually help him, even just watching him, would be a better mentor for Kellen Mond than Cam Newton? It makes sense. So I, like you, would love it if Fitz could mentor a young quarterback because Fitz has done that in his career multiple times over. He's been really good at doing that. I'd love to see him do it here again, but I still, if I'm a betting man, I'm still betting against that taking place. So thank you for the super chat, Abner Duran. Greatly appreciate you. BG fan all day. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "What's up, Louie T? What up? What's going on with you, man? It's been a while too. Hope all is well with you and the fam. Good to see you and hear from you." Rob U, thank you for tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. Rob U, who writes, "Lou, I'm usually against trading up, but the pieces are in place here to compete. Go get your guy if it doesn't cost too much and pray he is the one." I'm usually not against trading up. I told you, do whatever you have to do. I want the team to get the guy that they want. That's what I'm always in favor of. Whether you trade up, trade back, stand pat to do that, I'm all for it. That being said, I don't want you guys to lose sight of what this is and what Ron told us the plan was when he got here. Ron's plan. Let's not lose sight of what that is. Ron told us when he first got here that in the military, it takes 3 to 4 years to change a culture. It does not happen overnight. And so he said, I'm here to build this thing into a winner and do it the right way. We were ahead of schedule last year. 7-9 and say Dallas or the Giants or the Eagles win 11-5 and win the division, 7-9 would have felt like, that's a really good first year for Ron. You know, lost some games that we probably could have won some games that we probably should have lost. Hey, 7-9, not too damn bad, not too shabby for his first year when everybody thought we were going to be a disaster and dismal, you know, and did it with 3 or 4 different quarterbacks. But having won the division at 7-9 makes people feel a little bit differently. But you shouldn't overlook the fact that, hey, we were 7-9 in a really bad division and we still have a long way to go. Okay? Like, don't lose sight of the fact that we're still a young team. We're still building. We're still acquiring pieces. We're not there yet. We're not a quarterback away. We're not 1 or 2 pieces away. We're still a ways away. I told you when Ron got here, and I haven't changed one bit. I said 2022 is the year where I want to have expectations to start winning. That's the year where I look at the team and I say, look, we've assembled enough talent. Ron should be more than comfortable with the guys that are here. He's had a few years now or a couple of years to assess the talent here. He knows what guys can do what guys can't. And so now we would have had 2 drafts under your belt. Now you've gotten this team to where you need them to be. Now we should be competing for something meaningful. I still feel that way. I don't think 2021 is a year where we're going to be in the mix for something meaningful. And we know what the rules are. I abide by the rules. Ryan Fitzpatrick is your quarterback. You can't go to the postseason. That's a rule. I don't make them. I just abide by them. So I already know what this season is. It's going to be fun. We're going to have ups. We're going to have downs. But when it's all said and done, we're not qualifying for extra bonus football. And that's okay. What I want to do is continue to build this thing. And I'm hoping, maybe, just maybe, that the young quarterback on the roster is there already that'll be able to take over when Fitzpatrick's 1 year in Washington is up and done. That's the hope. That's the hope. More likely than not, that's not going to be the case. We'll be doing this song and dance next year, looking for Aaron Rodgers or trying to acquire Aaron Rodgers or some big name quarterback that's out there like we did this year. We're going to take another swing, and hopefully we don't miss because we're on strike 2 right now. We swung big in year 1 for Amari Cooper. I'm glad we missed that one. That was a ground ball double play waiting to happen. I'm glad we missed that one. That was strike 1. We swung big for Matthew Stafford. That's strike 2. Next offseason, we may swing again, and we may actually make solid contact. Really solid contact. We'll see. That's how I envision this thing going. I could be wrong. We'll see. Thank you for the super chat, Rob U. Got another super chat here. This one is from Colton Wheeler. Thank you for the super chat, Colton Wheeler. Greatly appreciate you. My man Colton Wheeler writes, why do I have the feeling that we're going to trade up to 4 or 5 and take someone like Chase or Pitts and not a QB? Please just stay and take the spillage Washington football team. Colton, you got nothing to worry about, brother. I swear to you, nothing to worry about. Okay, look, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, even if it's spat by me, your man Louie T. But I'm telling you, you got nothing to worry about. First of all, we can't trade to 5. Cincinnati's not moving out of 5. So you don't have to worry about that. 5 and 6 are spoken for just like 1, 2, and 3 are spoken for. The only pick in the top 6 that is tradable is 4. Jags aren't moving off of 1. Jets aren't moving off of 2. And the 49ers traded up to 3. They're not coming off of it. The Bengals aren't moving off of 5. And the Dolphins traded back into the top 10 to get to 6 because they want a guy. So they're not coming off of 6. So you're either trading a 4 or you're not trading into the top 6. Washington isn't trading up to number 4. Feel really confident saying that. They're not going to trade up to number 4. Now, if they love Justin Fields and Mac Jones, or, you know, whatever the case may be, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, if they love one of those guys, that guy will still be available at 7 if Mac Jones goes 3. Now, if you like one or the other, then one of them might not be there because the Falcons could trade out of 4. But if the 49ers take Mac Jones at 3, one of those two guys, Lance and or Fields, because theoretically speaking, the Falcons could stay at 4, take Kyle Pitts, and then both of those guys are available at 7, because we already know 5 and 6 are going to be non-quarterbacks. We know that for a fact. The Dolphins took a quarterback last year. So did the Bengals. Both of those teams, respectively, 5 and 6. Bengals 5, Dolphins 6. They both took quarterbacks last year. They're not taking a quarterback. So we know that if the Falcons don't take a quarterback at 4 and they don't trade the pick, and Mac Jones is the pick at 3, both of those guys will be available at 7, 8. 7 and 8. So, or at least one of them will be available at 8. More likely than not. That you want. So you don't have to trade up to 4 is what I'm saying. You can. You don't have to. I don't see them doing that though. I think 7 through 9 is the wheelhouse for trading up for a quarterback. I think that's the wheelhouse. So will they take spillage? I think it's a realistic possibility that they take spillage. I think Davis Mills at 19 is a reach. Personally, myself. I wouldn't do it. Feels Dwayne Haskins-ish to me. Like that, not the player you're getting, but where you're taking him. Feels like a reach. Like, Denver Broncos fans may be a little uneasy about Drew Lock. I think this is a pivotal year for him in Denver. There are even people saying, hey, Denver can take a quarterback. They're not taking a quarterback. This is the year you find out if Drew Lock can play or not. No excuses. You have all your weapons this year. He's healthy. No excuses this year. Either Lock gets it done this year and proves he can play in this league as a starter, or you start looking for his replacement. But he's a second-round pick. That's why you don't hear the same amount of noise coming out of Denver. It's not as loud. He's a second-round pick. They didn't reach. Don't reach. I'm telling you right now, they're not trading up to 4. So you're good, Colton. I can't guarantee you that they won't trade up to 7, 8, or 9, but they're not trading up to 4. Feel confident saying that. Randy Butler, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Randy writes, what's good, Lou? Nothing, chilling, man. Talking ball with you guys. I'm with you. Got a feeling the Niners are going to take Lance at 3 as well, but we will see. Hopefully he falls to 7 through 9 so we can have a better chance to grab him. Have fun in Mexico, brother. I will. Thank you for the kind words and well wishes. I don't think the Niners are going to take Mac Jones, personally. I don't know what they're going to do at 3. Whether if it's not Mac Jones, I think it's more likely Justin Fields than it is Trey Lance. I all along said Trey Lance fits their offense better than any of those quarterbacks do. And personally, if you're keeping Jimmy Garoppolo, which I don't think they're actually going to do, which is why I think Trey Lance isn't the pick. Because if you draft Trey Lance, I don't think he's ready right now. So you would have to keep Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they're looking to move Jimmy, despite what you may have heard 20 million times. Like I said earlier in the show, when somebody keeps repeating themselves over and over again, it's not because they're trying to get you to believe what they're saying. They're trying to convince themselves of what they're saying because they don't believe it. They know what the truth is. But if they keep saying it over and over again, they're hoping that they'll convince themselves that it's actually true. So when I was growing up, I would tell myself over and over again I felt sick. There was nothing wrong with me. I just didn't want to go to school that day. I'm sick. I feel sick. Oh, my God, I don't feel well. And you know what? After 30 minutes of repeating I feel sick, I don't feel well over and over again, you know what I felt? Sick to my damn stomach. So he's hoping, hey, we're not trading Jimmy G. Jimmy G is a vital part of this football team. You say it enough, maybe somebody will actually believe you. He doesn't believe the shit, and it's not true. They're looking to move him. But if you draft Trey Lance, you need somebody to start because Trey Lance is not ready. And the 49ers are ready to win. No, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Now. They're ready to win now. They get their stuff back on defense. They want to go right back to where they were in 2019. So I think it's going to be either Justin Fields or Trey Lance. Or, Justin Fields or Mac Jones. That allows you to trade Jimmy Garoppolo and feel good about it. Because you could start either one of those guys day one. Don't think that they feel comfortable, nor would I, starting Trey Lance day one. But we will see. And I plan on having a blast in Mexico. Boy, do I need the break. So thank you for that, Randy Butler. Greatly appreciate you. Got another super chat. This one is from Portlock Sono 87. Thank you for the super chat, Portlock Sono 87, who writes, "What up, Lou? What up, Portlock? Says, you're the best in the business on this platform." Thank you. I appreciate that. Look, there is only one guy in the draft I would love to get, and that is Chaz Surratt. You know how I feel about Chaz. We talked about him earlier in this process at the linebacker position. I would love it if he's available at 51. Love it, love it, love it. Again, we'll see what they decide to do. Look, it's funny. We've fallen in love with all these different scenarios. Let's not lose sight of the fact that we really need a linebacker. Two of them, actually, even. Okay? We need linebacker help desperately. So let's not lose sight of the fact that we need line. We've fallen in love with this narrative of, hey, let's get a corner, let's get an offensive tackle, let's get a tight end, go up and get Pitts. You know, let's draft a quarterback, and those things are necessities as well. Some of them more so wants than needs. Okay, we need linebacker help. Okay, so let's not lose sight of it. And I know a lot of you haven't lost sight of that. I talk to a lot of you on a daily basis that say, look, all of that stuff y'all talking about is cute. Quarterback, and if a Bama receiver falls to us, or corner, or tackle, all of that shit is nice. It's cute. I find it to be very entertaining, yada, yada, yada. However, let's not bury the lead. We need linebacker help. Bring that this way at 19. And a lot of you are like, look, all of that stuff is fine. Give me Zaven Collins. Give me fill in the blank, linebacker. Jabril Cox. Give me Chaz Surratt. Give me Nick Bolton. Give me one of these dudes. I hear you loud and clear. I have not lost sight of the fact that we need linebacker help desperately. So I'm with you. I want Chaz Surratt. He's not the only guy I want in this draft. But I would love to get my hands on Chaz Surratt. I definitely agree with you there. Thank you for the super chat, Portlock Sono 87. Got another super chat here from John Livingston, my man JL Smooth. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, "What up, Lou? Missed the past couple streams. Glad to be back. I'm glad to have you back, man. Hope all is well. Just got here, but saw a report that Washington football team is all in on Trey Lance. Interesting. That report has been out there. It was started by Michael. Shucks. I can see his damn face. I can't think of his damn last name. But he used to be on NFL Network, used to be in multiple front offices around the league. And I don't know how accurate it is. I mean, depending on who you talk to, we were all in on Justin Fields at the beginning of this process. That morphed somehow into Trey Lance now. And depending on who you ask, now we are all in on Davis Mills. So, look. This has been the Washington narrative all offseason if you've been following this team closely. I've said this a bunch of times, and I've giggled and chuckled to myself every time I say it because it's true. Every quarterback that's been available at some point has had Washington tied to them in some form or capacity. Starting with Matthew Stafford. It then went to Carson Wentz. Would Washington trade for Carson Wentz? No. And Wentz wasn't a fit here. He was never coming here. But I think the Matthew Stafford thing was real. I think the Sam Darnold stuff was real. I think the interest in trading for Marcus Mariota was real. I think Washington did inquire about Derek Carr to see if he was available. I think that was real. I think there was interest on Washington's part to see what it would take to pry Jared Goff away from the Rams. I think all of those things were real. We ultimately settled in on Ryan Fitzpatrick, 50-50, once we realized we weren't getting any of those scenarios that I talked about already. You know, I don't know if I said Sam Darnold, but that was a thing as well. Washington was interested in sniffing around Sam Darnold. At the end of the day, we've heard Washington tied to Justin Fields. We've heard them now tied to Trey Lance. And now, all of a sudden, Davis Mills is appearing as a name that Washington is interested in. If you're a quarterback, you're living, breathing, you can chew bubble gum and walk at the same time, Washington is interested. And you're not, I can't say, and you're not 40 years old, because Ryan Fitzpatrick is damn near 40 years old. They're interested in anybody, not named Alex Smith at this point. So, it is interesting if Washington, in fact, is smitten by Trey Lance. It's very interesting. And I'm smitten by Trey Lance. He's not ready, and that's why Washington would be the perfect spot for him, because you got a guy in Ryan Fitzpatrick that's going to allow him to not have to play this year. I think Trey Lance has a abundance of talent, and, you know, somebody comped him to Steve McNair. I said he reminds me of Donovan McNabb. He's got the same kind of body type. I would much rather him be Steve McNair than Donovan McNabb. But either way, you're getting a hell of a football player if he's either one, and he looks like, you know, either one of those guys to me. So we'll see what happens. I still, until it actually happens, I still find it hard to believe that Washington's going to move on a quarterback. I just do. If one were to fall into their lap, I think they would be willing to pull the trigger. But for them to be aggressive, I don't know. But they've tried to be aggressive this offseason, which kind of bodes well for those of you who want them to go and get a quarterback. Seems like they've been very aggressive this offseason in trying to rectify that position, because it is the most important position on the field. And they know that until they figure that position out, it's going to be hard for them to start to build and move forward. So we'll see. But that report has been out there. Michael Lombardi, I think is his name, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. John Livingston, again, thank you for the super chat and doubling up. Double up. JL Smooth, greatly appreciate you. Who writes, Nick Wright called Lamar and Baker better than Josh Allen. I know they do it for clicks, but that got me heated. And I love Lamar. He's great, needs help. Nick Wright's cool, but he's in that space where it pays to say something controversial, or it pays to say something that goes against the grain. We all have watched, and we all know that the upside on Josh Allen is much greater than that of Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield put together. We know what Lamar Jackson is as a football player already. I don't really think his ceiling is going to go much higher than it is. He's already won a league MVP, for crying out loud. I mean, can't play much better than he did in the 2019 season. Still didn't get it done in the postseason, where it counts the most. He can improve as a passer, but do we see him improving that greatly to the point where all of a sudden he's one of the elite passers in the league? I just don't see that happening. He's a tremendous athlete. I think he's going to get better as a passer, but not to the point where we look at him and say, my God, the Ravens are unstoppable because they got Lamar Jackson. And Baker Mayfield's cool. You know, he's all right, but he's not real. Josh Allen's the man. He was my guy in that draft. Everybody that knows I was a Josh Allen fan then. I'm even more of one now. He's the guy, and I don't think anybody would, if you had a chance to draft that draft over again, because all three of those quarterbacks were in that 2018 draft. If you had a chance to do that draft over again, I don't think either one of those guys go before Josh Allen. Allen went before Jackson, but Baker went number 1 overall. Pretty sure if everyone had a do-over in that draft, Josh Allen would be the number 1 pick in that draft. I think that's hands down. So, anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat, JL Smooth. Got another super chat here from GearCell1. Thank you for the super chat, GearCell1. Greatly appreciate you. GearCell1 writes, just saw Haskins at the mall wearing a fishnet turtleneck and butt-out sweatpants. Go Washington football team and grab that left tackle in the first round. I wouldn't put any of that past Dwayne with a long, dangling cross earring in his ear. Wouldn't put it past him at all. Wouldn't put that past him at all. My man Abner Duran, thank you for the super chat. And tripling up. I think that's your third one of the night, if I'm not mistaken. Really appreciate you, Abner Duran, who writes, hey, everybody, show my man Lou some love by hitting that like button. And you know what? I'm going to take that opportunity that Abner has just provided for me, and I really do appreciate you, Abner, for that opportunity to ask you to subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content. Turn on that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button, as Abner so eloquently said. Okay, 103 likes right now, which is a great number, and I didn't even have to beg and plead for that. Let's get that. It's over 370 of you out there. Let's get that number up to $150, man. Like, let's take it to that next level, you know. And I appreciate you, Abner, for jump starting that campaign to $150. Really appreciate that. Got another super chat. This one is from the Juice Alert. Thank you for the super chat, the Juice Alert, who writes, will Dwayne Haskins become a successful long-term franchise quarterback with the Steelers? I believe he will. By the way, keep up the great work, Louie T. Thank you. I have my doubts, but if there's anywhere he could be successful, it'd be Pittsburgh. Mike Tomlin is a guy that I think could get through to Dwayne Haskins. He's a no-nonsense head coach. That's exactly what Dwayne needs. And I think that Dwayne had a wake-up call, a rude awakening. Like, he was literally on his NFL career deathbed. 1 foot out the door, 1 foot barely keeping that door open, and the Steelers gave him a shot, which is what you get with a first-round quarterback. You know, if you're a first-round pick in the league, you'll get ample opportunities. You get usually 3 chances minimum to prove what you can do if you're a first-round pick as a quarterback. We saw it even with Paxton Lynch, and he was god-awful. He got a chance with Denver, and that was the team that drafted him. He got another opportunity from someone else, and then he got another chance, I remember, at the end with Seattle. So, you know, you get chances if you're a first-round pick. If he can't make it in Pittsburgh, this seems like the last year of Ben. But we said that last year, and then he's playing again, and we could see Ben again next year. Who knows? This is the last year of Ben's deal. I surmise this will be the last year of Ben in Pittsburgh, but until he actually hangs it up, who knows? But let's assume Ben hangs it up. He's going to have his chance. If he doesn't take advantage of that, he's done. I'm not betting on him. Let's just say that. I'm not betting on him. We'll see what happens, though. Thank you for the super chat, Juice Alert. John Livingston, my man JL Smooth, thank you for tripling up. Greatly appreciate you. JL Smooth writes, so it's going to be required to be vaccinated to go to games here in Buffalo. I'm vaccinated, but it's causing quite a stir here. In my opinion, just get vaccinated and let's end the pandemic. But that's just me. It's not that easy for everyone to say, just go get vaccinated. I hear you, but not everybody feels strongly about the vaccine and feels like it's something that they want to inject into their bloodstream and into their body. Yeah, it's not easy to say that to someone who doesn't feel like the vaccine is something that they want to do, but they still want to go to Bills games. Look, it's a privately owned company, are the Buffalo Bills, and whether the town itself is enacting this or the team is enacting it, doesn't matter who's doing it. If that's their rule, either you abide by it or you can't go. It's really simple. So either you get the vaccine and go to the game or you don't. What are you going to do? It's really simple. So they may not be alone in that. There could be other teams that follow suit with that, you know, because at the end of the day, they're trying to encourage most Americans to get vaccinated, but not everybody's going to do it. So, anyway, I digress. Thank you for the super chat, John Livingston. Greatly appreciate you. Got another super chat. This one is from the Juice Alert. Thank you for doubling up. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Juice Alert. Greatly appreciate you. The Juice Alert writes, top 5 greatest quarterbacks of all time. Number 1, Tom Brady. Number 2, Joe Montana. Number 3, Peyton Manning. Number 4, John Elway. Number 5, Aaron Rodgers. Do you agree? I would have to say no. My number 1 is Tom Brady. My number 2 would be John Elway. My number 3 would be Joe Montana. My number 4 would be Peyton Manning. And my number 5 would be Dan Marino. The greatest quarterback I've ever seen play is Aaron Rodgers. But I can't put him over some of these other guys yet. By the time he's done, I think Aaron Rodgers is ultimately going to be on my list. I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a big Joe Montana fan, but I got to respect the fact that he's been to 4 Super Bowls and didn't lose a single one. You know, that whole Jordan thing. However, when you talk about talent, Montana wasn't more talented than, you know, Aaron Rodgers or Dan Marino or John Elway. He just won. Same thing with Tom Brady. He's not more talented than Elway or Rodgers or Marino. He just won. So I'm a Peyton guy. I'm a Rodgers guy. I'm an Elway guy. But Brady is number 1. He solidified that for me. There's no debating that for me anymore. I used to try to put Peyton at number 1. No. And, you know, I love John Elway as a player. I don't love him as a GM, but John Elway, the football player, that guy was a bad son of a bitch, man. Look, you don't go to as many Super Bowls as he went to. He didn't win a bunch of them. Took him like 6 chances to finally win one. And he got some ass whoopings. I mean, obliterated in some Super Bowls. He got destroyed. 49ers did him one. Washington gave him an ass whooping as well. But, you know, he went to like 3 Super Bowls or 4 of them before finally winning one. But he won 2. And he went to like 4 or 5 of them. So, and he had his team it seemed like in the AFC Championship game almost every other year, it felt like, for a stretch there. Elway's the man. Like, say what you want about him, but he's the man. I'd put him number 2. And then I think 3 through 5 is where it gets really interesting because I'm not a Joe Montana guy. So if anybody were to fall out of that list, it'd be Montana for me, even though it's just hard because he won 4 Super Bowls and he didn't lose a single one. But, you know, I don't know if that should even carry weight, you know, when we have this discussion. But it does, because winning matters. As much as we want to do, like, the Dan Marino argument, only reason that, because Dan Marino was one of the purest passers of the football I've ever seen in my life. You know, his ball was so pretty. The release was so quick. Dan was a maestro back there. Wasn't a tremendous athlete after the first, 5 years of his career. He actually wasn't a bad athlete coming out of Pitt. But it's just crazy because he didn't win a Super Bowl. The craziest thing is he didn't ever get back. After getting to the Super Bowl in his second season, he just never got back, which is the hard part to fathom for Dan Marino. Doesn't make me feel any less about him. He's still a hell of a football player. Anyway, no, I don't agree with the list. It's not a terrible list. I wouldn't have Montana 2. If I actually sat down, I think it would be Brady 1, Elway 2. That's not debatable for me. It's Brady 1, Elway 2 for me. I think 3 through 5 would get interesting. I think I would do Montana 3, though. Even though I don't love him, I can't. It's hard for me to elevate guys like Peyton and Rodgers and Marino over him, and he won. And he was really good. And I thought what cinched it for Joe, and then we'll move on after this, because I know a lot of Washington fans are like, okay, enough of that. What cinched it for Joe, for me, was the excuse for him was, oh, he played with, Jerry Rice and John Taylor and all these Roger Craig and all these talented football players, and Bill Walsh, one of the greatest innovators of all time as a head coach, and he went to Kansas City with the Chiefs in 1994 and took them to the AFC Championship game, and then retired. Like, that did it for me. With J.J. Birdie and those, you guys don't even know who the hell I'm talking about, but he went out there with with Davis at receiver and J.J. Birdie, and he shredded teams. And he took them to the AFC Championship game in 93 or 94. I think it's 93. Or might have been 93. Maybe it was 94. Get those years mixed up. But that's what did it for me. Like, okay, you stripped away all of the stuff that we said was his crutch, and you shipped him off to Kansas City, and he won anyway. I put him 3. I put Manning 4, and I think I'd have Marino 5. I love Aaron Rodgers, but man, these losses in the NFC Championship game, they're wearing on me, man. They are wearing on me. But I'm an Aaron Rodgers guy, I just need time. Give me some time to decompress, and he'll probably be in that top 5. But right now, I'm not happy with Aaron Rodgers right now. Anyway, I digress. Thank you for that super chat, Juice Alert. Trevor Patch, thank you for the super chat. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Trevor Patch. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, fresh cut, is Ramon going to make it to Mexico? Of course. He's a part of the fam. What do you mean? Is Ramon going to make it? Of course. Look, he's even trying to bring friends with him. Like, of course. What are you talking about? Of course he's coming. He needs a fresh wash, though. This is why he's not out chilling. He needs to be washed and catered to. So we'll get him straight, and of course he's coming out to play. He's not going anywhere. Anyway, I digress. JP, my man John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man JP writes, I know this is a pipe dream, but just a random scenario. What if Washington could get Rodgers next offseason, similar to Tampa Bay getting Brady? We talked about this on this very show like 3 weeks ago, maybe it was now. Maybe 4. It sounded preposterous then, but I entertained that thought. I think I might have even been the person to bring it up. Somebody else might have brought it up with the super chat, but I said, Rodgers this is last year in Green Bay. It's not far-fetched to think that someone like Washington, this is the thing, but that I said this whenever we had that conversation, whether it was a month ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever the case may be, JP. I said this. You can't take a massive step back this year and expect Aaron Rodgers to want to join your football team. The reason Tampa Bay was so enticing for Tom Brady was because, A, they had a ton of talent waiting for him. It's the best situation for him. Just walk in and win. 2, it's great weather. That's probably 3. 2 was, hey, they're right there. They were 30 interception season from Jameis Winston, 15 less interceptions from Jameis Winston away from being a 12-14 that year before. I think they ended up going 7-9. Jameis threw 30 interceptions. Had Jameis thrown 15 interceptions, they win 3 more ball games, 4 more ball games. They're in the playoffs. So he knew they weren't that far away. They were on the cusp. They just needed a leader. And then 3, it's Tampa. The weather's great. He's been dealing with all that cold-ass weather his entire career. He goes to Tampa. He's like, this is nice. We have the first 2 things. I think we're acquiring the talent. We're not quite there yet. We don't have the stable of receivers that Tampa had or any of that stuff. But we're building. After this draft, who knows? We might draft another receiver, and you look up and you say, whoa, we got some shit. If this Sammis Reyes turns into a stud like we think, wait a minute. Now you got 2 tight ends. Now you got 3 or 4 receivers. If Humphrey stays and he plays well, you look at the running back position, that's a really good crop of running backs. And I don't know if you guys heard this. I talked about listening to the Ben Standig podcast. David Shaw, head coach of Stanford, was up there. I don't know if you caught this. He said, hey, I talked to Bryce Love. He's the healthiest he's been since he came into the league. He's feeling good. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited about that. Again, my expectations, lowered expectations. My expectations are low. However, I'm excited that he's healthy for the first time since being in the league. So I said all of that to say this. The talent could be here. But if we go 5-12 this year, Aaron Rodgers coming here isn't going to fix 5-12. He may turn 5-12 into 12-5, but it's still not going to be good enough to win a Super Bowl. We need to be 8-9, 9-8. So that we could look and say, man, with better quarterback play, with an Aaron Rodgers, we could have won 4 more games and we might have been a Super Bowl contender. That could be the case next year. I've already said that. Would Aaron Rodgers want to come here? Remember, Brady chose Tampa Bay. Aaron Rodgers will not be a free agent. He'll be traded if he's not in Green Bay. I'm assuming he has a no trade clause where he can veto a trade. He can pretty much pick where he wants to go. Will he choose here? I don't know. But we'll see. That's a long way off. And you're right. It is a pipe dream. But I'm not going to stop you from dreaming. Go right ahead. Dream. Dream, 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 dream. I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. Tony P56. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Tony P56 writes, hey, Lou. This is for Ron because I know he's here taking notes. What should he do next and what to do with the first pick? Quarterback, linebacker, or tackle? Like, comment, and sub, y'all. Thank you for that, Tony P. And so Tony is going to throw up the alley. I'm going to dunk it home. You know what I do. You throw up the alley, I'm going to dunk it. You set me up with the volley, I'm going to spike it. Y'all go ahead and subscribe to the LouieTeeNetwork for more great content. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button as Tony P asked you to. And, oh, by the way, comment too. Really do appreciate you, Tony P56. What should Washington do with the first pick? It all depends. Again, the board is going to tell the story. If the only quarterback available at 19, if they decide not to trade up. And again, if they only love Trey Lance, if the rumors are true and they love Trey Lance and he's gone at 3 to the 49ers, well, then you don't trade up for a quarterback. It's really simple. They made the decision easy for you. Just stay at 19. If Trey Lance is the guy you covet and he's available at 7, 8, or 9, and you want to go up and get him, go get him. I would do that first. Truly, I would. I would do that first because the quarterback position is the most important. So if they love one of these quarterbacks and he's available, go get him. Go get him. However, if that's not in the cards, the guy you love isn't there, the next thing I would do was assess the landscape at the linebacker position because as I just mentioned, man, do we need a linebacker? I don't think Ron is drafting, even if he were available at 19 and it didn't require him to draft or trade up. I don't think Ron is drafting Micah Parsons. I don't think that they are looking for a guy with character issues and red flags. That right now, listening to Ron talk about culture for the 5,999th millionth time, it doesn't seem like he's the kind of guy that they're looking to get into bed with. And after going through what they just went through with Darius Geis, I don't think they want any parts of a guy coming into the league with any kind of red flags like a Micah Parsons. So I don't think Micah Parsons is going to end up in Washington, guys. Even if he was available at 19, I don't think he's going to end up in Washington. Just so you know. And don't be mad on draft day if he's available and they don't take him. You've been warned. Anyhow, I'd look at linebackers. You know, JOK, there'll be some guys available that, you know, Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis is a hot name right now. Linebackers are an issue for Washington. Those guys would fill that one of those voids. Jamin Davis more so than JOK because Jamin Davis is a middle linebacker. So Jamin Davis is a guy that could potentially be, and he's much better in coverage than Nick Bolton, who I love as a middle linebacker and think he has an abundance of talent. Jamin Davis is much better coverage linebacker. So that's another name to keep an eye on at 19. I would go linebacker after quarterback. And then, as I've said numerous times, tackle is going to be there. And it's the fallback plan. If all else fails, you don't like any of the linebackers, the quarterback position isn't, it's slim pickings, nothing there that you really even are considering, you can always fall back on tackle. None of the receivers there that you might have been thinking about picking, no corners that interest you, tickle your fancy, you can always fall back on tackle. So that's how I would rank it. I'd go quarterback first, linebacker, just the way you wrote it. Quarterback, linebacker, and then offensive tackle. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P. 56. Rob U. Thank you for the super chat, Rob U. 4th of the night. Greatly appreciate you, Rob U, who writes, is Liam Eichenberg a possibility in the second? Yes. He'll be around. The thing is, he won't probably be around at 51. That's the likelihood is. With these tackles, they get pushed up just like quarterbacks do. And so I think Liam Eichenberg is a fringe first-round pick. I wouldn't be shocked if he went 30th overall. But more likely than not, he'll go 37th. He'll go 41st. He won't make it to 51, though. You know, tackles generally get pushed up. So we'll probably see 7 tackles go in the first 35 picks. Like, that's what happens at the tackle position. So highly unlikely that he's available at 51, but I think he's available in the second round for sure. I don't think he's a first-round pick. Again, stranger things have happened, and at the tackle position, guys get pushed up. So it wouldn't shock me if he becomes a first-round pick. Got a super chat here from Kevin. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Kevin writes, when you doing your Washington mock? It's coming. It's coming. I've actually got a video coming out here shortly talking about that. So stay tuned for that. But all I can say right now, without saying too much, is it's coming, Kevin. I have not forgot about you guys. It's coming. I'll just say this. Next week. Rob U, thank you for the super chat. Rob U, greatly appreciate you, who writes, first of all, thank you for your 5th super chat of the night. Can't see you right now. Thoughts on Brevin Jordan, says Rob U. Talked about Brevin Jordan. I'm actually putting that video out tomorrow. If you didn't watch the tight end video and my rankings for the tight ends, then you missed my thoughts on Brevin Jordan. No need to fret nor worry. All of those tight end videos are chopped up, ready to go. They'll be released tomorrow morning at 10 at effing 10. So you'll get my thoughts on Brevin Jordan then if you haven't watched. I'll just give you a quick synopsis. Talented football player, very athletically gifted, highly motivated, and is a try-hard guy, okay? But injuries are a concern with Brevin Jordan, and he's not the biggest guy in the world in terms of height and length, which are things you look for in a tight end. Doesn't disqualify him, doesn't rule him out. And I like Brevin Jordan. But watch the video and you'll get the full scope and spectrum of how I feel about Brevin Jordan. John Perez, my man JP, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you tripling up on the night. My man JP writes, I've been banging the table for a first-round quarterback like Lance or Fields for months. You have. You have been an army of one at times. When we were all fixated on linebacker and wide receiver and corner and even tackle, because there are a lot of people that believe you got to build up the trenches. You've been saying to hell with all of that stuff. Quarterback, quarterback, quarterback. So I can attest to the fact that you've been banging the table for quarterback since this entire process got underway. He says, but drafting JOK, Pitts, or Parsons would not make me upset at all. I can tell you right now, 2 out of those 3 guys you're not getting. You're not getting Pitts because you're not going to move up high enough to get him. And Parsons doesn't fit in the culture. I'm going to go out on the record and say it. He's not a Ron Rivera type of guy. JOK is the only guy from that group that you listed as a secondary option. But you've been saying you want a quarterback, and you may get your wish. You very well may get your wish. We will see. Got another super chat. This one is from Abner Duran. Thank you for the super chat, Abner. Your 4th super chat of the night. Greatly appreciate you, Abner Duran, who writes, even though we need a linebacker badly, we can get a gem, maybe a steal after the first round. I still think we get a quarterback in the first if the opportunity falls in our lap. You're right. I've said this all along, which is why I'm not opposed to them not taking a linebacker. Like, if they don't take a linebacker in the first round, I'm not worried at all. In past years, I would be alarmed because in past years, it wasn't deep. The linebacker group wasn't deep, and you weren't going to be able to get you a starting caliber linebacker guy, or at least a guy you feel really good about off the rip in the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. A lot of those guys were gone already. You know, it's usually a 2-man race. We've seen that quite a bit where the first, 2 guys or so in the draft at the linebacker position are elite, and then there's a steep drop-off. That's not the case this year. Yeah, there are guys that might be a little bit further ahead of the rest of the pack. But in terms of the linebacker, I mean, the fact that Jamin Davis just came out of nowhere and is going to be a first-round pick more likely than not tells you the amount of depth at this position. You got Micah Parsons, you got Jamin Davis, and JOK, who are all going to be first-round picks. Think about that. When's the last time we had 3 linebackers go in the first round? I know last year there were 2 for sure. The kid from Oklahoma, which was the first linebacker take. I think we had 3 last year. I take that back. Last year, Oklahoma kid, the Chargers traded up to get him. Then the Ravens took Patrick Queen, and actually the Seahawks took the Texas Tech kid, Jordan Brooks, and then the Ravens took Patrick Queen. So there were 3 last year, but I didn't love Jordan Brooks as a first-round pick. And the linebacker group last year was okay. I thought those were the 2 gems, was the Oklahoma linebacker and Patrick Queen. I wasn't smitten with really anybody else at the linebacker position necessarily. And this year I am. I told you this draft could go potentially 4 rounds deep at linebacker. So as you mentioned, you don't necessarily have to get a linebacker in the first round to still get a guy that could be. I told you Nick Bolton, more likely than not a first round pick. I'd love to get my hands on him or Chaz Surratt. Both of those guys are second rounders all day long. And I'd love to have either one of them, both of them personally, in Washington. But you're not going to get both of them. It's one or the other more likely than not. And I wouldn't mind having either one of those guys. So as you mentioned, don't have to get a linebacker, quarterback. Again, if there's a guy there that you love, just know, though, if you go up for the quarterback, you're sacrificing potentially an opportunity to then draft that linebacker or said tight end or whatever position in the second round, because you may have to give up that second round pick. So just keep that in mind as well. Yeah, you got 2 threes, but you know what's better than 2 threes? A second. So, yeah, just keep that in mind as well. Thank you for that super chat, Abner Duran. Got another super chat. This one is from Bro. Thank you for the super chat, Bro. Greatly appreciate you. And my man Bro writes, good content. You know what, Bro? I rocks with you, man. I really appreciate you super chatting just to say, hey, good content. You my guy, bro. Seriously, bro. You are. Thank you for that super chat once again, bro. Tony P56. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Tony P56. My man Tony P writes, oh yeah, and I'm psyched about Sammis Reyes. Thanks. I'm psyched too. I'm psyched. Oh man, y'all trip me out, man. Y'all trip me out. John Livingston, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. I think this is your fourth one, JL Smooth. I feel confident in that. Greatly appreciate you, JL Smooth, who writes, how you feel about NFL farm leagues? Channing Crowder tore them apart, saying The Rock wasted his money. Hard to argue with that, but the more football, the better, in my opinion, except that FCFL league, that was awful. The NFL farm system is a great concept. The problem is funding for it. Like, if you're pouring your money into it, you want to have returns on your investment. The only way you're going to get sponsorships and the only way you're going to get your return on your investment in that league is if people are watching and supporting it, which it's hard to get people to buy in to players that couldn't cut it in the NFL. Guys that are looking for another opportunity to get back in, or guys that simply weren't good enough in the first place. It's hard to get people to watch that. It just is. There's a reason why the G League isn't really something that's televised heavily. There's a reason that minor league baseball, you can't find it on television anywhere, because people don't want to watch that on TV. So it's a hard sell. Now, as you mentioned, people love football. And if it's done correctly, it could have legs. But the NFL has tried a farm system before. NFL Europa, overseas. They had teams over there, and you know, guys like Kurt Warner played in that league. There were players that actually developed over there and got a chance and actually made it in the NFL. But it wasn't financially fruitful. And that's the roadblock you run into with these leagues, is that people have to be clamoring for it. And nobody's clamoring for non-NFL, non-college football. We say we are, but I'm telling you, I'm not going to watch it consistently. I'll watch it maybe the first or second weekend just to see what it's about. And after that, it's not on my agenda. It's not something that I have to do. It's not on the to-do list. If I'm at home, I'm on the couch, there's nothing to do, maybe I'll watch. Maybe it'll be background noise, but I'm not tuning in. Oh man, 9 o'clock. It's a big one this week. Alabama versus, the Alabama stomping pride against the Chicago Felons. I'm not turning on the TV for that. Sorry. So, we'll see. I wish them nothing but the best, and I hope it's successful. But this is the third iteration of the XFL. The first two failed. Second one, you could argue failed because of COVID. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. Whatever the case may be, we will see. NFL is king. Always remember that. Never forget it. Abner Duran, thank you for your 5th super chat of the night. My man Abner, killing the game. Really appreciate you, Abner. Thank you so much. Abner, can't see you, writes, glad to know you and your beloved are visiting my country to have that much needed vacation. I'm completely convinced you will have a great time. Please have a couple of tequila shots on my behalf. Benvenido, mi amigo. Salud. Indeed. You know I got you. You know I got you. I'm going to knock them down. And when I'm knocking them back, I'm going to think of you and I'm going to say, this is for my boy Abner right here. They're going to want to know, who the hell is Abner? Don't worry about it. That's my guy. I got you. Don't worry. I'll knock him back for you. I appreciate you. And I hope you guys welcome me with open arms. I'm looking forward to it, man. Really, really am. Let's see. HTTR Lot. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. HTTR Lot writes, RG3 or Jason Campbell? I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I wanted J Cam to be nice so bad. You know, that was Joe Gibbs' quarterback that he took. Remember, they traded up to draft Jason Campbell. One pick after Aaron Rodgers, if you can believe that. We were that close to having Aaron freaking Rodgers. We didn't want him because if we wanted him, he was falling. We dropping like a rock. We could have had him. We didn't know what he was going to be. Nobody did. That's why he didn't go number 1, and that's why nobody else took him. And he fell all the way to 24. But we traded up to 25 to get J-Cam. And I wanted J-Cam to be. I remember that one game. It's funny. I always bring up one game with these dudes. I do it with Devin Thomas. You know, same thing with J-Cam. I don't remember what season this was in. But it was an early season game against New Orleans. I want to say it was New Orleans. And we were trailing late in that game. And he throws a bomb to Santana Moss over the top. And we win that game on that touchdown pass to Santana Moss. Early in that season, man. And I remember thinking, he coming. Here comes J-Cam. Here he comes. And it just never happened. Solid athlete, good arm, really slow release though. And then, you know, as Chris Cooley always said, just didn't process it fast enough. He didn't see it fast enough. Talent-wise, Robert Griffin III was way more talented, but he wasn't a likable dude. Jason Campbell was a likable guy. If you're just talking about on the field, Robert Griffin III turned in one of the greatest rookie seasons the NFL's ever seen. Now, you have to take it in context of when it happened. It happened in 2012. Since then, we've seen rookie seasons shatter that and smash it and make it look pedestrian, you know. But when it happened in the moment, we were like, man, this is crazy. Guy threw for, what was it, 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, rushed for probably another 500, 600, 700 yards that year. Maybe I'm overrating his rushing yards. Felt like he ran for a bunch of yards that year. Took us to a 9-7 record, or was it 10-6? Might have been 10-6. And a home playoff game and a division crown. It's Robert Griffin III. Even though it was flash in the pan, it was a shooting star, it was 1 year. Jason Campbell never got to that level, ever. We never looked at him and said, hey, we got our guy for the next decade. We for a brief moment in time, as Washington fans, we thought we had our guy for the next 15 years. Albeit brief, as I just mentioned, we thought we had our guy. We were wrong, but for that moment in time, before the Seattle game, there isn't one fan out there. I don't care how bad of a Robert Griffin III hater you were. After we beat Dallas in week 17 to clinch the division, there wasn't one person out there that wasn't saying, this is effing awesome. We got it right. We got a superstar at quarterback. Well, back down memory lane. It's Robert. Even though I can't stand Robert Griffin III, it's Robert Griffin III. David Sanchez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, David Sanchez, who writes, love how Washington was Sammis' first choice. I love that too, because it shows he wanted to be here. But more importantly, I love the fact that Washington didn't wait to reach out. Washington was one, and he mentioned 20 teams were interested. 7 visits were already lined up, including Atlanta and Kansas City. And Washington swooped in and said, to hell with all of that. And he's lived in Washington. This was what made the decision easy for him. When you are someone that is just finally settling in and getting comfortable, you came over here at 14 years old with not a penny to your name, with no family over here, and pretty much a dream and nothing else. You haven't had your family with you. You've been pretty much on your own for the most part. Now you got a girlfriend. Now you got a place that you can call home in Washington. It's hard to want to leave that. He said, for the first time, I feel like I've got a place I can call home here in Washington. So imagine when the team in that city calls you, your agent, and says, hey, we'd like to sign your client. It's pretty damn impressive. And there was nothing for him to think about. I love it, though. I love the fact that he had visits lined up and he canceled all of them and said, I want to be in Washington. That's my first choice. It's pretty cool. And it also speaks to, because he said this, he used the C word. I'd like to think that he's using the C word repeatedly because of one Ron Rivera. But nonetheless, no matter why he said the word culture, and that's why he chose here. Because he respects Ron Rivera and what he went through last year, and he's a great man, and he said, they've got a culture that I want to be a part of. That's not something that would have come out of anybody's mouth a year ago this time, last year. 2 years ago. 3 years ago. Never would have heard that. So, it's happening. Slowly, but surely, it's happening. We're seeing it. It's happening. Thank you for the super chat, David Sanchez. Got another one here from Marcus Dixon. Thank you for the super chat, Marcus Dixon. Greatly appreciate you. My man Marcus writes, hey, I'm a Giants fan. What up, Marcus? Says, I'm curious. Are you nervous at all that there haven't been a repeat winner in the East for like 20 years since Washington won last year? I'm not nervous about that because I don't expect to repeat as NFC East champs. So, no, I'm not nervous about that. At some point, those types of trends are made to be broken. But I don't think we're the team to break that trend, okay? But, yeah, I mean, that's fact. It hasn't been done since 03 and 04 with the Philadelphia Eagles. So, it'd be great for Washington to be the team to repeat, to break. Because the same thing, I think it was the same trend in the NFC South for years. Nobody repeated in that division, and then the Saints said, okay, let's stop the madness. And I think they were the ones to do it, either them or Carolina. I think it was the Saints, though, that went back to back. And now that's not a thing anymore in that division. At some point, somebody's going to, say, hey, let's run it back. And they're going to run it back. But I don't think we're the team to do it. That doesn't mean I'm not going in like, hey, the champs are here. Excuse me. Pardon me. Watch out. The champs are here. The champs are here. Doesn't mean we're not going to stroll into place like we run it, because we do. But for a limited time only. Get it while supplies last. So I'm saying all of this to say I don't anticipate us repeating as division champs. But we're not that good yet. So the expectation for me isn't that great. It would be a lot more disappointing, and I'd be a lot more nervous about that if we were coming off of an 11-5 season and we're sitting there saying, man, nobody's done it twice in a row, but I want to do it. And we're good enough to do it. And the target's on our back. And we got to face Josh Allen. And we got to face Patrick Mahomes. And we got to face Aaron Rodgers. And we got to face Matt Ryan or whomever else is on the schedule. All the top, the Russell Wilsons of the world. We got to face all of them this upcoming year. And we just went 11-5 and the target's on our back. That ain't the case. We were 7-9 last year. The Cowboys got Dak Prescott back. They're the more talented football team. Again, I think the Cowboys are the team that is going to be, when it's all said and done, smoke settles, dust clears, or dust settles, smoke clears. Either way, same shit, different toilet. they're going to be the team that's raising their hands in victory in this division. But I could be wrong. Could be the Giants. You know, I don't think it's going to be the Eagles. I feel good about saying that right now. I don't think it'll be the Eagles. But a lot of people last year didn't think it was going to be Washington either. Now, did they? So we'll see what happens. But no, I'm not nervous about that because I don't expect, the expectations aren't through the roof for me. So that's why I'm not nervous about that. Thank you for the super chat. Marcus Dixon. Got another super chat here. This one is from Russell Keaton. Thank you for the super chat. Russell Keaton, my man Russ writes, you know what I do. That's great, LOL. Anyway, what's up, Lou? I like Reyes, but I'm worried about his impact and ability to run routes. I'd still draft a tight end. Look, I said I wanted to talk about the expectations for Sammis Reyes. Let's do that right now, since you pretty much gave me the lead in to do it. When asked about his greatest strengths right now, he actually mentioned route running as one of his greater strengths. He said, look, first thing he said was, look, I'm 6'6", I got a 40-inch vertical, I can go up and get it. So that's my number one strength right now. If you ask me, what's the one thing I bring to the table right now is, hey, throw it up. I'll go get it for you. I love that because we don't have that guy. Remember, we were bitching and complaining last year, which is why we drafted AGG, that we wanted a guy that could go up and get it. We don't have that guy. The closest thing we have to that is Logan Thomas. And Logan only showed us that one time last year, and that was the touchdown in Week 17 versus the Eagles, where he really went up and got it. Other than that, Logan wasn't going up and getting shit last year. He wasn't going up and getting a damn thing. Neither was anybody else on the team for that matter. So we may actually have us a guy. But he said after that, I think my route running is really good right now. I've worked really hard at it. I think I'm really good in that department. Now, Logan Paulson, I listened to John Kimes' podcast. He had Logan Paulson on his podcast, the former Washington tight end, who actually worked out with Sammis Reyes and said that his back he's got a stiff back, Logan Paulson said. So he's not as loose as you would like him to be, but he's a tremendous athlete. He checks off all the boxes from a physical standpoint. And he's not your traditional hardwood to gridiron guy in terms of making the transition from basketball. He's like, normally the basketball players, they kind of got gangly frames. They're kind of skinny. And they find it hard to put on weight and keep it on. This guy's already chiseled at 260 pounds. He looks the part of a football player. He's not going to have any problems. You know, he said, like, he's one of the guys that shakes your hand and his hand goes all up your forearm because his hands are like baseball mitts. So, look, Reyes feels like he can run routes. I told everyone that you have to temper your expectations. I think first of all, he's making this team. Let me be clear about that. He's making his football team. Second of all, I think he's going to have an impact. I just don't expect it to be, right out of the gate, right out of the packaging. First year, he's got 627 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. That's not what I'm asking him to do in year one. Okay? What I'm looking for is flashes of brilliance. One game where he tears somebody a new asshole, 5 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And maybe that's the one game he has, and ultimately he only has 359 yards receiving on the season. But there was that one game, all right, that one game against Buffalo where he went ape shit, and he went 5 for 111 and 2 scores. And you go, that's what I'm talking about right there. That's why this dude has a chance to be a stud. George Kittle, Travis Kelce, or one of these boys that's tearing the league up. Darren Waller or one of these guys. That's why he's got a chance to be a significant contributor because of games like that. I just need one of those. We may not get any of those. But you have to understand, it's going to be a learning curve. He talks about putting in the work and wanting to learn the terminology and learn the playbook and all of those things. But it's still a long process for him because he's never done this. He's never been hit before. Okay? He's got to learn the position. He's got to learn the technique of how to block, even though he's been blocking. There's still a lot more to learn. You know, they may coach it one way at the IPP. Pete Hayner gets his hands on him and he's teaching him a totally different technique that he didn't learn at the IPP. So there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. If he were to buck that trend and come out guns a-blazing, I'd be shocked and it'd be a sight for sore eyes. But right now, if he gave us 360 yards receiving in his first year, and he gave us, 360 yards on 27 catches and 3 touchdowns, I'd be excited about that. I really would. Because that's the start of potentially something big. So just make sure you understand that he could be a beast and you may not see it in year 1 on a major scale. Because it takes time. Have patience. That's all I'm asking you guys as fans to do is have patience with a 6'5", 6'6", 260 pound, 4'6", 4'6", 40-inch vertical, 31 reps of 2 1/4 freak of nature. Have patience. Don't run him out of town if at first sight he doesn't look like a stud. Give him time. Give him a chance to not think and just play. I said this on the video that I did the other day when we first signed him. I'm not satisfied. I'm happy. And I said this on IG. Somebody wrote a comment on the post that I had. And I said, I'm happy, but by no means am I satisfied. Don't confuse the two. They're two separate entities. I'm happy. I wanted this guy badly. And it's a position that we really desperately needed somebody. And now we got somebody. But by no means am I satisfied. I think we need to add another tight end. And we will. So I, like you, think that we need to continue to add. And I think we will. Thank you for the super chat, Hud Dog. Greatly appreciate you, Hud Dog. Thank you for the super chat, Hud Dog. Got another one here from Hud Dog. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Hud Dog. Greatly appreciate you. My man Hud Dog writes, what do you think about Texas Tech wide receiver TJ Vasher? And do you think there's any chance Washington takes him in the draft? I'm going to be honest with you. I did not study TJ Vasher on film. I only know about him in passing. So I would have to take a look at TJ Vasher. Don't really have an opinion on him one way or the other. As far as Washington taking him in the draft, I'd have to watch him before I could assess what kind of a football player he is. Let me see if he was on my list of receivers to take a look at. Let's see. Pull up my list. Nah, he wasn't on my list of receivers to take a look at. So, yeah, he's way down this list. He's a big kid, though. He's 6'6", like 210. I don't see them going down that route again with another big receiver. I don't know how fast he is, but I don't see them going down the big receiver unless that guy can run like the wind. I'd highly unlikely that they'll be looking to go down that route again after AGG came in last year and essentially gave him nothing. And I'm not criticizing AGG for that. It was a rough year. He was injured. It was COVID-19. There was no offseason. There were a lot of factors that you could point to as to why it was a tough transition from Liberty. Remember, Liberty. Remember, he came from a small school, man. Like, we knew the stepping competition was going to be a tough transition for him, but to not have an offseason, to be injured, it was tough. And it's a new offense being installed. Like, if this were an offense that were already here for the last 5 years, then you could take the time to bring a rookie along. But when you're installing an offense for the first time and it's new for everyone, I don't have time to bring a young guy along. You're just going to get left. And you're going to have to play catch up on your own time. I can't stop to make sure you're not getting left behind. This isn't standardized testing, and this isn't, no child left behind. We got to go, man. Everybody else can't wait on you. We got to try to get this thing implemented. So it was rough. I don't think they're looking to go that route, though. So I haven't watched him, to be honest with you. But the reason I haven't watched him is because I don't think he's getting drafted. So when I look at my list of guys here at the receiver position, he's way down the list. I don't see him getting drafted, but we'll see. He sounds more like an undrafted priority free agent when it's all said and done. Thank you for the super chat, Hud Dog. JM, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, JM, who writes, slightly off topic, but what's the biggest mistake you've made in your draft coverage? Worst take. What did you learn from that slip up? Oh, I've had plenty of them. When you've been doing it as long as I have, you're going to have a bunch of bad takes. I had one this year. Shit. I mean, they happen. I said Jamin Davis was a 5th round pick. 5th round pick. Too small. He's really athletic, but that's not enough. Well, he played at 223 or 224 last year. He's 234 now, and he ran that ridiculous 40 time that he ran, like a 4.44 or something like that. And he put on 10 pounds. So much for me and my big mouth. 5th round, my ass. He's going in the 1st round. So shit happens. I didn't like C.J. Mosley coming out of Alabama. I was wrong about him. That was a big miss. I don't think I was the biggest Patrick Mahomes fan coming out of Texas Tech. I thought he was talented, but I thought that the Chiefs made a big mistake trading up for him. That was a mistake. Probably the biggest one that I made. But I thought he was talented. I just didn't think he was worthy of them trading up as far as they did. Remember, the Chiefs were like 29th or 27th in the draft that year, and they traded all the way up to like 10 to get him. But I've made a bunch of mistakes, man. Like I said, when you've been doing it, I remember I thought Brandon Weeden was going to be good. Go back to when I first started. The 2012 draft was one of my first big productions. I called it the starting 5. And there were 5 quarterbacks that I followed that year closely. It was Robert Griffin III, Andrew Luck, of course. They went 1 and 2. It was Brandon Weeden and Ryan Tannehill. They were also the other 2 quarterbacks who went in the 1st round that year. And then Russell Wilson. And I called it the starting 5. And I thought all 5 of those guys were going to be good. And Weeden turned out to stink. So I was wrong about Brandon Weeden as well. So I've been wrong a bunch of times. I'm going to be wrong a bunch more. Nobody gets this stuff right at a high clip. Even the guys that get paid for a living to do this don't know. It's an inexact science. You go off of what you saw in the past, what has worked in this league, and you try to extrapolate that over, the life of these players and how they project to the next level. You watch their tape and you see what strengths they bring to the table and what their weaknesses are, and can they be minimized, and can they maximize their strengths. And fit is everything in this league. You go to the right team, you can turn out to be an all-pro. You go to the wrong team, you could be out of the league in 4 years. So it doesn't mean that we were wrong about the talent that guy has. He just might have ended up in a bad spot, or he might have ended up getting injured a bunch of times. But I've made mistakes. Trust me, plenty of them. What I've learned is you're going to make mistakes. You're not going to get them all right. And that's okay. I don't plan on getting everyone right. I try to. That's the goal, but it's not. It's an unattainable goal. It's not happening. But I set the bar high anyway. It's all opinion based. So anyway. Thank you for the super chat, JM. Got another super chat This one is from Tony P56. Thank you for the super chat, Tony P56. Double up. I think this is your second, might be your third. I'm not sure which is which, so we're just gonna do both. Really appreciate you, Tony P56, who writes, I'm giving the nickname. It is the third one because the second one you said Seist. So this is your third one. You're tripling up here. Really appreciate you. You says, I'm giving the nickname Sammis Reyes. Heard it here first. Okay. Sammis Reyes, cool. I don't have a problem with that. But if he turns out to be a beast, I don't know. I don't know what I was going to say Sammis, but Sammis is a girl. So I don't know if that's a cool nickname or not. I'm also a geek because I love Super Smash Brothers, and I'll bust anybody's ass in the game. And so I don't play with Sammis, though, just so you know. But anyway, I digress. Sammis Reyes, cool. Sammis Reyes, cool. I don't have a problem with that. Carlton Pagano Jackson. Thank you for the super chat, CPJ. As always, my guy CPJ writes, what's good, Lou? What's good, CPJ? Draft season is always crazy. Yes. Yes, it is. He says, let's just draft best player available and keep it pushing. That's usually what I subscribe to, BPA. But sometimes BPA isn't the move. It's not often. But in the case of Washington, BPA may not be the best move for them. They may have to go up and get a quarterback. You may call it reaching. You may call it being a little bit ambitious. But it may be what they have to do to get their hands on a quarterback. When in Rome, do as in Rome. And if everybody else is going up and grabbing quarterbacks and you want one, you better go. Because if you don't, you're not going to get one. So we'll see. But I think BPA is ultimately what Washington will decide on. It also helps if BPA meets a need. That's always fun. But I think they're going to go BPA when it's all said and done at 19. That's what I ultimately see happening. But we'll see. JP, my man JP, thank you for the super chat. John Perez tripling up. Greatly appreciate. Might be 4 for you, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. It is 4. My man JP writes, Lou, I know this is a football talk stream, but how about that boy Acuna for your Braves? Dude blasted 2 home runs in tonight's game. Hashtag future MVP. Yeah, look, we already know what Ron's about, but he can't do it by himself. He needs help. We scored 8 runs yesterday and lost by 6. Like, we got to get our shit together. But it's early in the season. You know how it goes, man. We'll see. But we already know Acuna, real deal. We knew that. That's why we locked him up to a 10-year deal last year. Dude is legit. Thank you for that super chat, JP. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. As always, my guy, BD, thank you, who writes, enjoy vacation, Lou. Well-deserved. Thank you, man. Thank you. I really do appreciate that because I definitely need it. I really, really do need this vacay. And I'm looking forward to it, man. And normally you want to get the draft over with and then go on a vacation. I'm glad it's happening before the draft, actually, because it'll allow me to decompress, get away for a little bit, come back, and then hit the ground running. Because the draft is like that weekend of the draft, it's nonstop for me. But then as soon as the draft is over, there's no time to rest. There's no rest for the weary. It's straight into draft wrap-up series, and we're breaking down all these drafts. So it just doesn't stop. So this is the perfect time to get that rest, and I'm glad it's happening. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you for that super chat, Barrett Downing. Really do appreciate you. Got another super chat right now. This one is from HTTR a lot. Double up. Greatly appreciate you, HTTR a lot, who writes, what would be your all-time Redskins defense? Wow. I mean, I'd have to sit down and make a list. You put me on a spot. It's too many guys. I don't want to leave a guy out trying to sit and make a list on the run essentially. I can tell you that Darryl Green would be on my all-time team, defensive team. Sean Taylor would be at safety, one of the safety spots, free safety. Darryl Green would be at one corner. I'd have to think about who would be at the other cornerback position. We've had some good ones over the years. I'd have to think about what I do at linebacker. We've got quite a few to go through, you know. I know that Dexter Manley would be at one defensive end. I love Charles Mann, but I probably put Chase Young, even though he's only 1 year in. I'd probably put Chase Young at the other defensive end spot. I probably put Jumpy Gathers inside as one of my D tackles. I'd probably have to sit down and make sure I'm not forgetting anybody before I figure out who the other defensive tackle would be. I would have to think about my linebackers, though. I can't give you one off the top, right off the dome. There are a lot of good options, but a lot of those dudes, like Monty Coleman comes to mind, you know, Wilbur Marshall comes to mind, but I don't know. I mean, hell, if you take a second and think, what was my man's name that came here from Arizona, had a hell of a run towards the end of his career at linebacker? I can see his damn face. I can't think of his name. And we were terrible in those years, though. But he was really good. You know, there's some linebackers, but I'd have to sit and think. I don't want to miss anybody. So, anyway, those are my definites that I just gave you. Those are my definites. I'd have to sit and fill in the blanks, though, for sure. Thank you for that super chat. Let's see if we have any more super chats. Portlock Sono 87. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Portlock Sono 87, who writes, first off, I gotta see Super Smash. LOL. Look, man, I'm just telling you right now, you don't want the smoke. None of y'all want the smoke. Okay, I've been playing that game for years, going all the way back to Nintendo 64. You don't, with a capital D, O-N''T, want the smoke. That said, second, he says, what do you want to see us do at the 5th and 7th round? Maybe another surprise like Cam Curl, #757. I'm always down for a Cam Curl late round, special in gym. Those are rare. So I don't look for those every year. But you know what? For as bad as we've been in the second round, we've actually been really effective in the late rounds. Chase Rouillet was a late round draft pick. Cam Curl, a late round draft pick. I feel like I'm missing one guy. I think it was one more dude that I was like, man, we actually got some good mileage out of this guy as a later round draft pick. We've drafted some other guys that are still on the roster now. I don't know what they're ultimately going to be. I'm trying to think of last year's draft was Cam Curl was the standout, but don't dismiss your boy from Michigan, the linebacker, who gave us a little something when Cole Holcomb went down late in the season. He showed a little something, and he's only going to put on more weight and become even more of a fixture, I believe. Even if it's only on specials, I think he could be a late round core player for us moving forward. The year before that, I don't think we really hit big late in the draft. We drafted the offensive lineman out of Alabama, Pierce Baker, and I think it was one or two other guys, and I don't think any of those guys are going to be real contributors. But I think we do a pretty good job late in the draft. We're going to see, but it's a different crop now of characters here, different cast. So now I want to see what Marty Herney does, Martin Mayhew and those guys do That's where you earn your money to me. It is, you know, it's easy to pick first, second, third round. Those guys are easy to see. Where you differentiate yourself in this league is what you do in the fifth round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth round. Can you unearth a gem, you know, once or twice in a 5-year span in the sixth or seventh round? That's where you really make your money. Undrafted guys, who are your priority free agents? Do you find a gem there? You know, that's where you make your money, because look, we need you to get the first and second rounders right. Those are the core foundational pieces of any roster. You miss on those, you're gonna have a lack of elite level talent, which is why Washington has been one of the worst teams in the league in terms of elite talent, because we missed so many years in a row in the second round, or we didn't have a second rounder. We didn't know what to do with second rounders anyway. And our first round picks weren't very good. Josh Doxson, Brandon Sheriff is a guard, as Jay Gruden once eloquently put it. One picks Josh Doxson and the other is a guard. Like, it's hard to win when you got one guy that's out of the league and the other guy that is 1 year removed from being off of your roster, and he's a guard. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the later rounds, because we don't have a 6th round pick. But they need to kill the first 2 days of the draft, really, honestly. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my man. Chauncey Davis writes, Lou, I'm still in the back seat with my seatbelt on with you and Ron. Ron's playing. Remember, Chauncey, I'm up front. Ron's driving. I'm up front. You're in the back seat. Hopefully you got company. But as you've said, you've never taken the seatbelt off. And it got rough. A lot of people took the seatbelt off. We got to a stoplight, and they got out the car. They was like, yo, I'm going to walk the rest of the way. Don't take your seatbelt off, no matter what. Just enjoy the ride. Even if this ride ends up wrapping around a tree, you got your seatbelt on, you probably will be okay. Just don't take it off. Don't take it off. Appreciate you, Chauncey Davis. Got another super chat. Ken Harvey, thank you all out there. Darren Elliott, Kevin the PRF, Taj Wilson, all of you guys. Ken Harvey is the guy I was thinking about. He was good for us in the mid-'90s when we stunk. And there were some lean years in those with Terry Allen at running back in like 94. It was some lean years, boy. I would cry every week because we would lose games when I was a little kid. There were some lean years in there, some 4-12s and some 3-13s, a lot of 5-11s, not very good. But Ken Harvey was one of the few players on those teams that was really, really good. So, he would be in consideration for sure. Anyway, I digress. Chauncey Davis. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Chauncey. Greatly appreciate you, my man. Chauncey Davis writes, Lou, in terms of evaluating talent, Marty Hurney or Kyle Smith? I understand why Kyle was let go, but just wondering. I was a Kyle Smith fan. I mean, I watched what Kyle did in the draft last year. You talk about Cameron Curl, that was Kyle Smith. You talk about our offseason last year and getting Logan Thomas and identifying J.D. McKissick and all these guys that they brought in here. You're talking about Kyle Smith. That was all Kyle Smith last year. And like you said, I know why he's no longer here. I get why Ron did what he did. I don't have any animosity towards Ron because of it. But I wanted the young, sharp guy that could be here and grow with the organization for the next 30 years. That's not Marty Hurney. But Hurney can identify talent. He's not a slouch. But I would have preferred Kyle Smith. That's just me. But again, as you mentioned, and as we can both acknowledge, we know why Ron did what he did, and I don't have any problems with it. But I would have preferred Kyle Smith. He's sharp. He gets it. He's young. And he proved to us last year with no Bruce Allen and nobody looking over his shoulder that this guy could bring in good talent. He showed us that last year. Because I think Gibby's a hell of a talent that we weren't sure about in the third round. I feel really good about Gibby. I do. I feel great about Chase. That was a no-brainer. That wasn't hard. I don't know about Sadiq Charles yet. We'll see. We love Cameron Curl. We don't know about Keith Ishmael yet. Khaleke Hudson. I saw flashes last year. So I like what he did last year. Draft, free agency. You know, we bitched and complained about free agency. Look what it turned out to be for us. But I'm all in. So Marty Herney it is. I'm all in. Got another super chat. There it is. True one. There it is. It's Champ Bailey. Champ on one side, Darryl Green on the other side. See, that's why I got to sit down and think. Because you can overlook somebody that you shouldn't. That's a no-brainer. Hall of Famer on one side, Hall of Famer on the other side. There's nothing to think about. It's Champ Bailey on one side, Darryl Green on the other side, Sean Taylor on the back end, and then I'd have to find my strong safety. So that's another definite. Thank you, True One. There. DCJ. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man DCJ writes, Yo, Lou, late to the show. The ND linebacker, he looks more like a Will linebacker than a Mike or Sam. Agree? Correct. You are spot on. Facts. He is a Will. He's a weak side backer through and through. All right. He says, also, I'm going to keep saying, do not reach a trade for a quarterback. Drive slow. We'll see. I think Ron's going to drive slow. But a lot of people are asking him to not pump the brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. They want him to speed up. I do think Ron is going to drive slow, though. I do believe that to be the case. And yes, JOK is definitely a weak side backer. For sure. Let's see. Got another super chat. I feel like I just skipped over one. Maybe I didn't. All right. Let me make sure I didn't miss any. I don't see anyone. Alexander the Great, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Alexander the Great. The Great. Says, Lou, finally caught another live. My work schedule is crazier than my baby mom's. Get your bread, homie. That's all that matters. Stack up the bread. And if you can, put a little butter on that toast, man. If they're giving you overtime, get it. Says, everybody hit that like button and enjoy your vacation, Lou. I appreciate that, Alexander. And I really do appreciate you continuing to support the Louie T Network. And I'm glad you were able to catch another live, man. It's always better when you're live. But again, whether you're live or you watch it after it's been done and it's uploaded, I appreciate it all the same. So thank you so much for the support. And I really do appreciate you, man. Got another one here from DCJ. Thank you for the super chat, DCJ. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, DCJ, who writes, if one of the top receivers or offensive tackles or linebackers fell our way at 19, regardless of the name, who would you want? What if we grab another long corner and move Fuller into the slot and spots? That's why I said if, a corner fell in your lap that you love, I wouldn't have a problem with it at 19. That's the whole thought process is you could move Fuller to either safety or in the nickel. You can kill two birds with one stone by drafting another long corner. That said, you said if one of the top receivers, offensive tackles, or linebackers fell our way at 19, regardless of the name, who would you want? Excuse me. I personally would want Micah Parsons, but I don't think they're taking him, so that's fine. I'm cool with them not taking Micah Parsons. If one of the receivers could fall in our lap, if you told me we could get Jalen Waddle or one of the Bama boys, Sign me up. You can never have enough at receiver. You can never have enough. So I would grab one of those in a heartbeat. And so, yeah. If you told me Waddle somehow made it all the way past Dallas, Giants, Eagles, I don't see how he makes it through that conglomerate where the Eagles or the Giants, well, I don't think the Giants would take him. I don't think Dallas would take him. It'd have to be the Eagles. But the Giants, I wouldn't rule them out just because they signed Kenny Golladay and John Ross. John Ross is on a 1-year prove-it deal. I could see them taking Jalen Waddle anyway. I don't think they're taking a receiver, though. They need to go in a totally different direction than wide receiver, but I digress. I would take the guy that I would take is Michael Parsons. He's not gonna be a Washington football team member, though. I just don't see him fitting in this culture. Ron's made that abundantly clear that he wants guys that fit the direction of this program. I don't know if he does or not. So. Anyway, I got another super chat here. This one is from Kevin the PRF. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Kevin the PRF writes, Jumpy gathers, without going back to players like Butts, I would go elsewhere first. Your other safety should be Houston. Ken Houston, that would be my other safety. There you go. Ken Houston, Sean Taylor, Champ Bailey, Darrell Green. My secondary is complete. There you go. Right there. I said Jumpy Gathers because I want an interior pass rushing menace. Jumpy Gathers was that for me. Now, Dave Butts was underrated as hell. I would go through the list of defensive tackles, and it may ultimately be Butts and Gathers. But I know Jumpy Gathers can get to the quarterback. Hence, I would put him in there. Because I want a menace up front. I want guys that can get to the quarterback. But you're spot on with Ken Houston. That would complete my secondary right there, for sure. Big facts. Thank you for that, Kevin, the PRF. Shet Ara Ab. Thank you for the super chat, Shet Ara Ab, who writes, hey, Lou, what it is? What it ain't? That might be a better question. Love your show. I drive trucks. It helps on those long drives. I pulled over to text this, so no text and driving. Good. I'm glad to hear that, man. I assumed you were stopped somewhere, okay? I assumed that you were stopped somewhere and not texting and driving. First of all, if you were driving and texting, it would not have looked that good and efficient. It would have come out with a bunch of misspelled words and a bunch of typos and mistakes. But I first of all, the fact that you took the time to pull over, I hope you pulled over because you had to use the bathroom and you had to fill up for gas or something, and then you just happened to hit me. The fact that you pulled over to hit the show up speaks volumes, man. I'm flattered. I'm honored. I almost don't know what to say. Secondly, I'm glad that you were responsible enough to pull over and text your comment. That said, I'm glad I could be of any assistance and any help. You know, when you're out there and you busting your ass and grinding to get that bread, sometimes it can become monotonous, and anything that can come along and help to break up the monotony and monotonous nature of what you do, if I'm that guy, I love it. And I'm glad to hear that I was able to provide some sort of value to you and your situation. So I really do appreciate that. And I appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Shet Ara Ab. Got another one here from Billy Ampifo. Thank you for the super chat, Billy Ampifo. Greatly appreciate you, my man Billy Amp. Writes, seen a report saying we will only trade up to 7 or 8 if a quarterback they love falls there. I think they want either Lance or Fields. Yeah, I told you, they're not trading up for Mac Jones. They're not trading up for Davis Mills or some rando at quarterback. It's either Lance or Fields, and it's got to be 7, 8, or 9, somewhere in that vicinity. It's not good. They're not trading up for Pitts or Parsons or any other elite player that we view as elite in this draft. They're not drafting a corner, not coming up to get a corner. Only position they're trading up for is quarterback. And it has to be one of their guys, obviously. They're not going to just trade up for a guy. So, again, things could get pretty interesting if Mac Jones goes 3. That's the only way that I think Washington is put into a situation where they can trade up. Because I think if if the 49ers take Justin Fields at 3, then I think somebody may come up and get Lance at 4 because they realize, okay, clock's ticking. You know, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. If Mac Jones isn't the pick at 3, it lessens the likelihood that Washington gets their hands on a quarterback. If you're a fan of Washington trading up and getting a quarterback, you want the 49ers to take Mac Jones at 3, because what that does is it puts you into a situation where you're guaranteed to have either Lance and or Fields fall to 7. If Mac Jones goes 3rd and Atlanta stays at 4 and takes Kyle Pitts, we know 5 and 6 aren't quarterbacks, so at 7, both Fields and Lance are on the board. At 8, at least one of them. If somebody trades up to get a quarterback from Detroit, one of them is gone, but still one will be left at 8 at Carolina. If Detroit is forced to make a pick and nobody trades up, then you're at 8 and both of them are still there. And then 9, one of the two will be there. So, again, Mac Jones is the key to all of this. If you want Washington to get a quarterback, you want San Francisco to take him at 3. If they take Fields or Lance, you could mess around and get to 7 and all of those guys are gone. We can go where we thought we were going to go when this process, when the 49ers made the trade and threw a wrench in everything, when we said, or not we, when I said 1, 2, 3, 4, quarterback, 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 quarterback. That is more likely to take place if Mac Jones goes 3, or excuse me, if Fields goes 3, because then the desperation for Lance, or vice versa, it doesn't matter. If Lance goes 3, then the desperation for Fields heightens. If Fields goes 3, then the desperation for Lance heightens. But if it's Jones at 3, you don't have to be as desperate if you like both of those guys, because one will be there at 7. So it could get interesting. It could get really, really interesting. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Gladly appreciate you, DCJ. I think that's your 3rd, might even be your 4th of the night. Really do appreciate you, DCJ, as always, who writes, your biggest threat today in the NFC East, for me, it's the Giants, he says. For me, it's the Cowboys. I talked about this right before you showed up. Right before you got here, somebody super chatted, and I talked about the Cowboys. It was a Giants fan, as a matter of fact, who said, aren't you a little nervous that no team is repeated in the NFC East as champions for almost a 2-decade stretch? I said, no, I'm not nervous, because I wasn't expecting us to repeat. I wasn't expecting us to win the division last year, until I realized how bad the division was. Then I realized it's ours for the taking. I don't expect us to repeat with Dallas getting Dak back and all the talent that they have and upgrading their coaching staff with Dan Quinn now as their defensive coordinator. I think the leaders in the clubhouse are the Dallas Cowboys. They're the biggest threat to me in the NFC East, and I fully expect Dallas to be the odds-on favorite to win this division by Vegas and every bookmaker out there, because they've got the talent to do it. So, and we still don't have a quarterback. And until that is solved and rectified, it's going to be hard to put Washington above Dallas because of Dak Prescott. He's the best quarterback in this division, and it's really not even close. Let's see. Jake Hutton, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, Jake Hutton. Really appreciate you. My man Jake writes, hey, Lou, we appreciate all you do for us Washington fans. P.S. I'm in this ride with you and Ron in the middle seat. No seatbelt. If this ship goes down, I'm going down right with it through the windshield. So, Jake, I need you to put your seatbelt on. Safety first, Jake, okay? This is the thing. If Ron wraps this thing around a pole or a tree, I don't want you going out of the windshield. I need you back here with me when we get back in the car with the next coach. Okay? If you go through the windshield, you're done. I don't think you're coming back. So I need you to keep your safety belt on. Okay? Even if we believe in Ron and some dummy that's drunk, like the Eagles, for instance, runs a red light and slams right into us, it's not Ron's fault. I need you to have your safety belt on so that you don't go through the windshield. Ron's okay. Airbags were deployed. I'm okay. I got my safety belt on. Airbag came out. I'm good. I don't need you going through the windshield because we're going to sue the hell out of the Eagles. Make sure they stay at the bottom of the division. We're going to get us a brand new whip, and we're going to keep the party going. And I need you to be in the whip with us. So put your safety belt on so we don't have any mishaps and we don't lose any passengers along the way. Okay? Because as I've always said, when driving, you can only control what's going on in your car. If the clown in front of you slams on brakes for no reason, I need to be vigilant enough to be able to slam on brakes. But in case I look down for a second to mess with the radio and I look up and this guy's slamming on brakes and boom, I slam into their car, I need to have on my safety belt. Or if I'm just minding my business, I'm going because I got the right of way and this clown has a stop sign and they don't stop at the stop sign and boom, they run into the front of your car. I need you to be safe. So put your safety belt on. Buckle up. All right. I need you along for the ride for the long haul. Appreciate you, Jake. I really, truly do. Got another one here from AJSTP003. And I really do appreciate the super chat, AJSTP003, who sent me a Bravo sticker. Bravo. I really appreciate that, AJSTP003. Thank you so much for the support. True One says, Scorch said champ. Okay. I don't want to take anybody's credit. King Scorch, Champ Bailey, you are spot on. I saw it on True One, but if you said it first, I want you to get the credit for it because I damn sure didn't think of it myself. So King Scorch, thank you for Champ Bailey because that one definitely didn't resonate with me right away, but he would be my opposite corner of Daryl Green. John Perez, my man JP, thank you for the super chat. Your fifth of the night, my man JP. Writes, can't see you. Writes, Kyle Smith was a draft genius, yes, but anyone who even looked Bruce Allen in the eye was gone as soon as Ron got there. Nobody from that Bruce regime was going to survive Ron's wrath. You're right, and nor should they have. Everyone in the building right now owes their job to Ron Rivera, and that's the way it should be. Because I don't ever want to look at somebody and question their loyalty. Who is it to? Where does it reside? I don't want that. And Ron couldn't feel safe. Knowing the environment that's been created here for the last 2 decades with Daniel Snyder as the owner and usually having somebody right next to him helping fight battles and having it be a 2-on-1 situation, you didn't want to create that kind of environment here. No one is going to be on the owner's side in the event of something going awry. Everybody in that building's Team Ron, and that's the way it should be. And even if Kyle was Team Ron, he couldn't have known with 100% certainty because he didn't hire him. The last regime did. So in Ron's mind, Kyle could be trying to backdoor him and saying, hey, look, man, Ron's effing up. I was the one that picked all these players over here. You should elevate me to GM, let me fire Ron, and let me pick the coach. That's the kind of shit that happens. It happens. We've seen it happen. It happened with the Jets. The GM hires the coach. The coach then backdoors the GM, goes to management and says, this dude's a clown. Let me get rid of him and hire my boy. Shit happens all the time. So you got to watch your back. Because they smiling in your face all the time. They want to take your place, them backstabbers. Backstabbers. You got to watch them. Ron couldn't be sure. So he had to do what he had to do. I ain't mad at him. I ain't glad at him, but I ain't mad at him. DCJ, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My man DCJ, 5th super chat, can't see you. Really appreciate you. Writes, I see everyone happy about the new tight end. My question, can he block? We're going to find out. None of us know any of that stuff. He's big enough and physical enough to block. He looks the part, but we don't know. We don't know if he can block. Only thing I can tell you is he's big, he's fast, he's athletic, and he can catch. That's all I can tell you. But I can't tell you if he can block or not. So we'll find out together. Don't worry. Let's see. Got another one here from Washington football fan WGIL. Thank you for the super chat. Washington football fan WGIL writes, Lou, does the organization monitor Foster's progress or does he just show up for camp? Enjoy your vacation. So he's not actually on the roster anymore. Reuben Foster is a free agent. Washington did not re-sign him. And so, no, he doesn't just show up for camp because he's not on the team. They don't want him back, apparently. And if they do, maybe they said to themselves, nobody else is going to sign this guy. He hasn't played football in 2 years. So if we want him, he'll be there to sign after the draft. If we don't get, 2 linebackers in this draft, say they only are able to get one and they need another guy, they could go sign Reuben Foster back. I think they feel like they got him in a position where he's on speed dial. Nobody else is beating down his door to give him an opportunity. So they don't have to sign him. If they come away with 2 linebackers and they get another guy that they really like as a priority free agent after the draft is over, then they might say, we don't need Reuben Foster. Don't even need to bring him to camp. But right now, he's not on the roster. So he's not even an afterthought right now. He's no thought at all. And I told you, Ron inherited him. He didn't ask for him. He didn't sign him. Ron didn't want him. He inherited him. He's not the kind of guy that Ron envisions being a part of this culture and the foundation he's trying to set in Washington. Much like I talked about with Micah Parsons. I just don't see Ron going out and getting guys like that. So, I don't think Reuben Foster's going to be back here, guys. No, I just don't see it. So, with that said, that was the last super chat of the night. And that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. I thank you guys for what was a tremendous show. I had a ton of fun, as I always do with you guys. Looking forward to heading out to Mexico. But I can tell you this. I hope nothing big happens while I'm gone. Just my luck, something crazy happens while I'm gone. But I don't think it will. But even if it does, I highly unlikely that you get anything from me. I'll be on vacation. My fiance probably will not allow me to pull out my phone and do something quick. And I don't blame her. I work so hard here and, she makes a ton of sacrifices. So she's not willing to compromise on this trip. And I don't blame her. And I need the break. I honestly do. I need to recharge the battery. But I am going to have some content coming out for you guys. So keep your eyes open. All right. Keep your ears open. Eyes open, ears to the street. And make sure that you are continuing to support the content. Before we get out of here, one last time, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Turn on your notification bell so you don't miss a thing. And hit the like button. We're at 184 likes, 270 of you are still out there. We can do this. Let's get to 200 before the show is done. Nonetheless, I'm going to enjoy my weekend. I hope you enjoy yours as much as I enjoy mine. I got a shot from my man Abner Duran when I get to Mexico. A couple of shots, as a matter of fact, from my man Abner. And I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. We'll be back to reconvene next week. And shit's going to get real next week when I come back. It's mock drafts galore. It's everything. So be on your P's and Q's, Y's and Z's next week because we turning it up. But until then, I am a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold until we meet again. Hail to the beloved Washington football team. I will see you guys next week. Take care. God bless. And good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.